There's a new name for Toyota in Lanarkshire.
From one of the UK's biggest names in motor retail.
Macklin Motors Toyota opens this October in Hamilton.
We're bringing you everything Toyota backed by first-class service.
So come and view the stunning new Toyota range, all with up to 10 years warranty.
Including the Aygo Cross and the new Yaris Cross compact SUV.
See our great choice of approved used Toyotas.
Our formidable range of commercial vehicles, including the Hilux.
Get expert servicing from our manufacturer-trained technicians.
And specialist advice from our Motability team.
Macklin Motors Toyota opens Monday, October the 17th.
At Whistlebury Road, Hamilton.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars.
Let's go!
Good evening. This is the Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors, and we're coming live. It's a sellout here at the Radisson Red in Glasgow by the Clyde in association with Steen. Sellout at Anfield and a few hundred miles away. It's a sellout here by the Clyde at the Radisson Red. We're with Steen. Macklin Motors here, the Euronights. It's going to be special. With us, top journalist Mark Guidi is in the house. Mark, you're excited?
Yeah, another cracking Champions League night, Paul, to look forward to. I mean, the Rangers supporters at the Radisson Red, doesn't it come much better than this?
And there doesn't come much bigger, does there, in the history of Rangers Football Club than Barry Ferguson is with us tonight. Barry, great to see you here. I've been seeing you speaking to some of the supporters. What's the feeling about this game against Liverpool?
Excitement, looking forward to it. Obviously, the first game between both clubs. And I'm more confident after the way that Rangers played on Saturday against Hearts, so we just need to wait to see the lineup that Gio picks. But hopefully Rangers could go down to Anfield and put a performance on, and hopefully come back up the road with at least a point.
And how much do we take from the fact that Liverpool have had probably their poorest start under Jurgen Klopp?
Yeah, listen, they're still a top quality team. They've got an unbelievable manager. They've got world class players in my eyes. Mo Salah, Van Dijk, Thiago, Diaz. But as you mentioned there, they have had a difficult start to the season, and this is maybe the best time for Rangers to catch Liverpool.
I was just listening this afternoon, looking at the bookmakers, and some of them are fancying Rangers to at least take a draw here tonight. Now, the bookies don't usually get it wrong. When this came out the hat, Celtic with Real Madrid was a plum tie. This is the other team that were in the final, so Liverpool was the one you thought probably you wouldn't take anything from. But Rangers would love to. Could they take something tonight at Anfield?
Well, I think there's every possibility that Rangers can take something. You know, they'll be down there right now, preparing for the game, full of confidence after the 4-0 win against Hearts. And for Liverpool, Paul, they've just not been at it. They've only got 2 clean sheets from 10 competitive games this season. They've only got 4 wins, most of them single goal victories, apart from the 9-0 win against Bournemouth that we thought was a corner turn for them, but it's not been. The one thing is their goalkeeper is still in good form. Alisson is still top draw at the moment, but in front of him, Van Dijk's not on it. They're a bit pedestrian in the middle of the park. They're lacking a bit of energy. But the talent in the team, as Barry says, it could flick like that. And tonight might be right. Rangers have got to hope that it's not. Alan McGregor's going to have to the game of his life. But, listen, when the draw was made, I didn't fancy Rangers at all. I thought it was a banker 6 points for Liverpool. But right now, yeah, you've got to give Rangers a chance.
Thanks to everyone for joining us here tonight. We do have a really big crowd, so let's start speaking to our guest. Graham is with us. Good evening, Graham.
Good evening.
Where are you from?
From Drumchapel.
From the Drumchapel. Yeah. Great to see you here in the city centre.
Thanks.
What do you want to ask Mark and Barry?
Just ask what they think the Rangers form at the moment in Liverpool. Obviously, they're stating the obvious, both teams' form at the moment. I think Rangers are blowing a bit of hot and cold at the moment. They're turning up for some games and no for others. And I think it's very much the same for Liverpool at the moment. I feel as if Liverpool are Liverpool. They've been one of the best sides in Europe over the last few years. And if they turn up, Rangers are going to have to right on it to get anything out of the game and no take maybe a bit of Durban depending on how we go.
But what did you take from Saturday in that win at Tynecastle? That was more like your club.
I thought we were great on Saturday. I thought we were brilliant playing against a Hearts side that are well on form at the moment. And to go in there, I think everybody thought that even if we came away for Tynecastle, we had draw, it's not a great result for Rangers. But at the time, I think with the way Hearts are playing and the way Rangers playing, a draw wouldn't have been unexpected, but the performance was great. And like I said, I don't think Hearts played badly. I think it was all about Rangers playing well at the weekend.
Barry, what would you say to Graham?
I've got to agree with him. I said last night on radio that's the best that I've seen Rangers in a long time. For me, Tynecastle after Celtic Park's one of the hardest places to go, and a lot of people fancied Hearts to win the game, but Rangers showed a bit of character. Sholak again getting a double. It was good to see Ben Davies, because we've spoken about him for the last couple of weeks. We've not seen him. Good to see him on the pitch get 45 minutes. I thought Matondo was another one who showed decent ability and had a good performance. So look, for me, they've got to take the confidence for Saturday. I know it's a different level. Liverpool, you're talking about a team who's been in 3 Champions League finals in the last 5 years. It's going to be a tough ask, but they've got to be down there with confidence. And what I want to see is respect them, but once that whistle goes, don't give them any space and time, because if you give quality players space and time, they're going to hurt you.
Here in the Go Radio Football Show, this time last night, we heard Giovanni speaking about who would play up front. Let's hear that clip again. Is it going to be Cholak or Morelos? What's he going to do?
Well, the decision is not difficult, because you always look at the opponent, how you want to play, what kind of game we expect tomorrow, and then we choose the best option. It's always, it's good because both are really in good condition at the moment. Of course, Antonio scored a lot of goals in the league. Morelos, when he came in, also. They're 2 different kind of strikers. So we will always look at the game ahead, and that's the game tomorrow against Liverpool.
Barry, you took from that it's probably going to be Morelos tonight. Graham, who would you like to see?
Out of the both of them at the moment, I think Cholak's scoring goals on a regular basis. Morelos, he blows hot and cold. You're somebody. He's been our best player in Europe over the last few years. In recent times, he's not had much game time, opposed to Cholak. Cholak scoring goals. I think you've got to give him the opportunity to go in first. And if things are maybe not going Rangers' way, you've got Morelos to come on and maybe try and bully things in the second half. That's
Mark, what would you do?
If it was me, I'd go with Cholak, but I think the manager will go with Morelos. I think probably pre-Saturday he was definitely thinking Morelos, but maybe the quality of Cholak's finishing and the fact that he'll be on a high might just make him have changed his mind. But for the Napoli game at home, he worked with a plan with a front 3 with Morelos at the top of it, and I think he might look at that again. But for Rangers, it's about trying to score goals, Paul, but it's about defending well. And I mentioned Alan McGregor at the top, but one guy who's got to step up, because I don't think he's been on it this season compared to last season. I don't know if the Rangers fans agree. Is Conor Galton? I think he's been ropey. He's not been his consistent self. And tonight he is going to have to produce a top draw performance.
Right, I'm going to put that to everyone here shortly. Before I come to you, Barry, who would you have up front from the start tonight? Would you go Cholak or Morelos? Who would go for Cholak? Here in the Radisson Red, can show of hands. A few there. Yeah, and Morelos. Yeah, 2/3 of the 3,000 people in here. Well, there's 30 of us or so in the Radisson Red. Yeah, no, Barry, I know. So, what do you think?
I would go with Morelos. I know what people may think. Listen, Cholak's in great form, 11 goals this season. As Mark just mentioned there, I thought his 2 goals against Hearts on Saturday were excellent, but I just think Morelos suits the European type game. The ball will need to stick up top, and that's what happens when Morelos plays. Cholak's more of a penalty box striker. Morelos can link up, and also he can bully defenders, so that's the reason why I think he may go for Morelos. But again, if he goes with Sholak's a man on form just now. We're
going to find out soon, aren't we? We also heard last night Tom Lawrence is out until after the World Cup. Over at Celtic today, Cameron Carter-Vickers didn't train ahead of the flight to Leipzig. Giakoumakis did train, and it looks as though Leila Bata is out because of Yom Kippur this week, so he will miss it for the Israeli religious festival. Celtic will be tomorrow night. We'll be here at the Radisson Red earlier, 4 till 6, and then the game. But tonight it's the Battle of Britain, and hard to believe that Liverpool have never played Rangers. Rangers have never played Liverpool in competitive action. We're going to speak to as many people as we can. We're with Barry Ferguson, Paul Cooney and Mark Guidi. And next up here is Scott. Hi, Scott.
How you doing? All right?
Good. Yourself?
Right, brilliant.
Are we looking after you?
Tremendous, yeah.
Where are you from?
Ardrossan.
Ardrossan. Well, welcome to Britain. It's great to see you here in Glasgow. It's fantastic. I love Ayrshire. Steady. He's bigger than me, but they all are. No,
can I just start with Mark's point about Galton?
Yeah,
because if you look at it this season, he's had so many different partners. Sands, King. Who else we had?
Ben Davies.
Ben Davies, yeah, sure.
been a
You
suitor.
know, if you look at the year we won the league, I think Helander was next to him
Sure.
majority of the season, so a bit of
Balogun.
stability there. So
Yeah.
I'd maybe give Golston a wee bit of slack in that one. But
The only thing I would say about that, though, Scott, is that he is your main central defender, and regardless of who's beside him, he's got to be your leader.
He's got to be a
He's
leader,
got
aye.
to set the example for the guy beside him. And I don't. Listen, he's a top player. I'm not saying, but by his own standards, I don't think he's been consistent enough by his own high standards. And tonight, if Rangers are to get anything, we're going to need Golson bang on it.
Yeah, I think if you ask Big Conor himself, he would admit he's not been at levels as he was the previous season. But I still think he's a big player for Rangers. It doesn't help that he's had 4 different central defenders, but now Ben Davies has got 45 minutes on Saturday.
I think he'll be key for us because he's left-sided.
Yeah, he could be the man now to partner him. I think Leon King's got a brilliant future. I mean, I'm all for bringing through young players. I think we've got a real player in our hands in Leon King. But at this moment in time, when you spend £3.5–4 million now, Ben Davies has been on the pitch, I fully expect him now to be
I think
Golson's
because he's left-sided,
partner.
I think you need the left and the right.
No, he brings a
If you're
good
playing the
balance
two
to the
centre
team.
halves- If you're playing the 2 centre halves, you need a bit of balance here.
How are you feeling about tonight, Scott?
Hopefully we can at least get something out of it, but it's Liverpool, innit? I know they've been poor, but look at the quality in their team, it's unbelievable. So
Barry, I think you're the only... Has anyone played at Anfield here in the Radisson Red? Just the man on my left. Barry, we were talking about the pitch last night, though. What's it like, size-wise? Is there any insight we can have about the Anfield itself, the actual
it's
surface?
a bit tighter than Ibrox is, but listen, I don't think it'll make much difference. You're talking a yard either side, Paul. It's not a massive difference, but it's a brilliant arena to play in. Listen, the Rangers players, they should be looking forward to get down to a place like Anfield. It'll be absolute rocking. And as I said, listen, you've got to believe when you go into a game like this that you're in with a chance of getting something. If you go in and you're starstruck and annoy your opposition, you're going to fall flat in your face. So I think after that performance on Saturday, I know it was Hearts, I know it was at Tynecastle, and people are going to say it's a different level. I totally get that, but that was a proper Rangers performance for me on Saturday.
Let's hear a wee bit more from the manager, just talking about the challenge ahead tonight at Anfield.
Of course, I mean, we lost our first games, and it means we don't have any points. So that challenge we face tomorrow against really good side, and we want to have results. That's what we have to do. We have to look at ourselves, but I think we're going to come here to have a good result. That's our intentions, and that always has to be our intention.
Who's the top player for you, Scott? Who are you looking to tonight? I'm thinking Ryan Kent back at Liverpool.
I don't think Kent's not really been on it.
No.
His numbers aren't good enough. He's a great player, he's been brilliant for us, but he's got to produce more numbers. There's no doubt about it, you know what I mean? You look at that team, got the Europa League final, I think, cost like 15 million, they said. He's half of that, almost with the 7 million, so I think we need more numbers
You want
from
more.
him.
Who are you looking to tonight? Who do you think might unlock the defence there?
I think we need to start Morelos.
Right.
The type of game, the type of opponent, he can build defences. He's better at Čolak holding the ball up. I mean, Čolak needs service. If you don't get him the service, he becomes a bit redundant. So,
Yeah, he's a total different player to Morelos.
Definitely.
Listen, one thing you can't argue about Čolak, when the ball comes into the box, the guy
Aye,
knows where the
he's
back
he's deadly.
the net is, and that's the reason why I think he'll go with Morelos tonight to try and ruffle up the guys like Van Dijk and whatever. And listen, Morelos loves big games like that, and I just like Morelos. I think Rangers with Morelos in the team, Rangers are a far better football team.
But he's not been available enough.
Yeah, listen, he's had his problems,
Yep.
but you know what? He's knuckled down and he showed a good attitude, and that's the reason why Gio left him out for a couple of weeks. He's clearly went away and worked hard at his fitness, and you can see the difference in him. He come on, he knows now he needs to produce, because if he doesn't, Čolak will play.
The old guard have done well for him this season. It's a strange one, isn't it, with the signings over the summer? Not many of them had done that much. Matondo a little bit. But you hadn't seen much until the weekend. Suddenly he looked much better.
Matondo.
Rabi, yeah.
Listen, it's only one game, but I was speaking to some of the guys. You need to do that on a more consistent basis. But that's what you want to see from him. I think he was £2 million or whatever. Listen, you can clearly see he's got pace to burn. But as you says, I don't like using the word old guard, but I think you see the difference since your Stephen Davis, your Alan McGregor, your Scott Arfield. For me, They three guys have got to play week in, week out. I don't care about age. These guys are athletes. They look after themselves, and they're such good players that Rangers need them.
Proper athletes, Mark, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And on Scott's point about Ryan Kent, I think that's going to be a really interesting battle, because he's up against Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's been getting slaughtered verbally the past week or so, left out the England team. They're now really scrutinising him as a defender, and he leaves a lot to be desired.
Could he be left out tonight by Liverpool?
I don't think so. I think Klopp was very loyal that way. I think he'll stick with him. But again, Kent, just putting Alexander and Arnold in the back foot, getting at him, being brave, taking them on, also doubling back and helping Barisic when ultimately, Liverpool will charge forward. But again, that's an area where if you're going to get a bit of joy, if you're going to try and score a goal, then Kent has got to be key. And if ever there's a time to get Alexander-Arnold, it's tonight, because his confidence is fragile.
Yeah, but I'm greedy with Ryan Kent. I want to see more. I think he's got everything in the locker, Ryan Kent. I just need to see...
The one behind more.
Yeah, but I just need to see more goals. I need to see more assists. If you match him up against across the road at Celtic with Jota and Abada, their goals and their assists are sky high. But I think Ryan Kent has got it. I just want to see it. And he showed on Saturday that he can assist and he can score, and I want to see that more often.
And it gave Rangers that momentum, didn't it? The early goal, early-ish for Cholak, beautiful cross. Yep, it was. So, Scott, what's your scoreline tonight? What do you reckon? You obviously know your stuff as well. What do you think?
I'm going to go one each.
Right,
I'm going to sit in the fence and go one each.
But you think Liverpool will score?
Well, maybe our own goal.
A pessimist. No, I know.
I'll sit in the fence with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look at Brighton. The other day, 2 up, then they go 3-2 down, but they scored again.
Yeah. I don't know, I look at Rangers squad and I think they're primed for a 3-5-2 with our fullbacks, because they're better going forward than they're coming back away. Barisic.
See, I said last night, I think he may change to a back five.
Because he does it in game, doesn't he?
Yep.
Pull Lundstram back.
I think he might play.
King.
I think he'll go with maybe Sands, Golston and Davis, and Lundstram in the middle of the pitch with... No, Sands is suspended. You don't need to. I forgot about that.
He's just checking, because Barry knows everything. He's just checking.
King. So I think he may change to a back three. It's not big enough game for. Leon King can handle big occasions. I've no doubt about it. But he has, previous to that, went with Lundstram in the back three. But I prefer Lundstram in the middle of the pitch.
Can we handle it here at the Radisson Red, the Go Radio Football Show, with Macklin Motors, the big Euro nights with Steen? Scott, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you later. We love Ayrshire and Saltcoats and Ardrossan. We're back after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars.
Let's go!
Simon Jordan.
This is the Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors, and we are live with Barry Ferguson, Mark Hughes, Paul Cooney, live at the Radisson Red on our Euro nights in association with the one and only Steen. Slight satellite delay there from Finniston back to...
You just called Mark Guidi Mark Hughes.
Mark Hughes. Well, just checking.
Because my break spark. Just call me Sparky.
Oh, hey, Sparky.
Hey, it's not there.
I'll tell you what, he let in enough goals to be a good striker, didn't he? I'm only jealous. The former St Mirren and Albion Rovers goalkeeper. Did I really say Mark Hughes? Yeah. Sorry. The truth is, Jim White was in the other line, just speaking to everyone. And listen, we're having a great night. We hope this is going to be the case. It's Rangers at Anfield tonight. And Kenny, who would have believed it, that when you didn't win the title, you'd still be in the Champions League this year? I mean, it's mega. Kenny from Hamilton.
Fantastic achievement. I think 10 years ago we were playing in the third division as well, so absolutely brilliant.
Just because I got Mark's name wrong, so Kenny Dalglish here from Hamilton. No, Kenny, you played against Barry, a young Barry. You're a big goalkeeper.
Aye. I think I had a side shed at the time,
okay.
Mate. So long ago it was.
Right. Yeah. So, Kenny, what are you thinking about tonight? What are you feeling?
Very, very tough game. Very, very tough. Just going with what the boys were saying about Morelos, I'd definitely go with Morelos tonight. I think we're going to need somebody who's going to be a big presence up front. He's going to need to make as much of the ball when he gets it, tries to win us some fouls further up the park and, get yourself about there and try and work that back four. And I think Morelos is the guy to do it tonight rather than Cholak.
Mark, are you changing your mind? Are you going towards Morelos when you hear what everyone's saying here?
No, I mean, I think the manager will go with Morelos, and I think he's got. The good thing is he's got two really good options. You know, I think I had to go with Chola. I don't think there'll be too many complaints. But Morelos is the main man. We know that he is the main number 9. It's just the fact that he's let himself down that puts question marks over him in terms of his off-field discipline, his application, and his desire hasn't been always at 100%, and that's why, you know, Cholak has been given the chance. But at 1.8 million quid, what I find Cholak is, when you imagine, because Morelos has been out, imagine you never had Cholak. That's even there'd be a big problem. So you've got to give credit to Cholak. It's been seamless the way he's got into the team. He's played really well. He's a good pro, low maintenance. But Morelos is the main guy, and as long as his ability's not in question, it's just if he can behave himself, Paul. And at the moment he's behaving himself, therefore he's a number 1 striker. 11
goals, Cholak, though. You do feel for him if he doesn't start tonight.
Absolutely, aye. You've got to look at the percentage of chances that, genuine chances that Cholak's had in games, and he's got a really good, success rate on that front. But it's getting the ball into that box, and getting it in the right area, and I think, I don't think we'll have a lot of possession tonight, to be honest with you. And that's where I think where Morelos will come into the play, and winning some fouls up the park, and he's going to have to work hard.
Yeah, he ruffles feathers up, Morelos, and I think this is going to be the type of game. Kenny's right, but he ain't going to have a lot of possession, and when the ball goes up front it needs to stick, and that's no Cholak's game. Cholak, as we spoke earlier on in the show, he's a penalty box striker. He doesn't like to link up where Morelos likes to link up, but he really likes the physical side of it, and that's why I think it's important that Morelos starts tonight. But again, if Cholak starts, how can you argue with that with 11 goals this season? It's been a brilliant return from him, playing up there himself, a new team. He's coming to a different country, and he's certainly impressed me.
Certainly has.
The thing with Morelos, he plays on the edge and he can ruffle feathers, and he'll make life difficult whether it's Van Dijk or Gomez or whoever's playing beside him. But as long as he stays on the right side of the referee, he has to do it, because the referees probably not quite as lenient as the Scottish, so therefore, particularly with Liverpool being at home, so he's got to stay on the right side of the law when he's doing it, because what you don't want is him getting a booking in the first 15 minutes, and then that puts him off his straight.
That's a great point. This is also one of the biggest games in Europe tonight. Isn't it a massive game?
You need Morelos playing on the edge.
Yeah.
See if you take that side of the game away from him, he ain't the same player. But again, he's got to just watch it, because the Napoli game he could have got sent off. Remember with the I think he pushed the guy.
He's got to try and be disciplined on the night. But I think Van Dijk would rather play up against Cholak than he would play against Morelos. I think Morelos will give Van Dijk more problems.
That's Kenny, the big keeper, 6'3", 4", whatever. On you go, painting the picture here in the Radisson Red. So you were a keeper. What do you think about the Rangers? Is it really an issue? We'll know soon. Is there any argument about who's going to be in goals, McGregor or McLaughlin? Let's hear what the manager said yesterday.
Well, I don't like to talk about number 1 and number 2. That's I didn't do with the start of the season when John started. John started the season, and I think the performances Alan had in the last couple of games were really good, and so he will continue in goal. Of course, I had to inform both players, which I done last week. But we all have one thing in mind, is to be successful for this club, and the decisions for me to make, and for both players to accept.
If this was a jury, you're the foreman, Barry, what would you say?
I don't think it's up for debate. I said it at the start of the season. I don't care if Alan McGregor's 40 years of age. For me, he's still the best goalkeeper at Rangers by a country mile. Look, John McLaughlin's a very good goalkeeper. Yep, he has made a couple of mistakes, but look, these guys have been goalkeepers before. It's one of the positions where it's highlighted more often when you make a mistake. But for me, Alan McGregor is top class, and what he brings, he's a real leader in that dressing room. You watch him during the game; he's constantly on at his teammates, and that's what you need. He's a brilliant character and a brilliant goalkeeper.
Kenny, what do you feel?
Al McGregor's a Rangers goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Need big performances tonight, need leaders, and that's what he is. He's waited his turn to get back in this season, and he's took it with both hands, so he deserves to play. I
was a wee bit surprised Mark it came up, but I think it was one of the questions the manager was asked. Or is there something there? Is there a chance that McLaughlin would play tonight?
Nah, I think it's a foregone conclusion. Okay. I don't think there's a debate anymore to be had. McGregor is a number 1, tonight as well. You need communicators, you need organisers. and McGregor will do that. He's been through the course for over a decade. Champions League, Europa League finals, you name it, big games for Scotland. So he knows the drill, and when McGregor's on it, like we were talking about Alisson earlier, it's usually got to take something special to beat McGregor. And I think tonight he will produce that kind of performance where, Salah or whoever it's going to be, sure. It's going to have to be proper goals.
Kenny, what's your scoreline?
It's a hard one.
Yeah. Kick-off coming soon. I don't want to hurry you, but
realistically, I think, realistically,
the 6-second rule.
A draw would be a fantastic result for Rangers tonight.
Sure, it would, because they need to get something. It's the group of death.
It's a hard game tonight, without a shadow of doubt. Probably playing Liverpool at the right time, right enough. But
Kenny, did you think this young man, when you played against him, then would go on to have the career that he did?
He was a brilliant player. He was young as well, just the same as his brother Derek as well. So great players.
Phenomenal.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Enjoyed that. Great contributions here. It's the special Euro night. What was the
score when we played in the game?
Kenny,
what was the score?
Oh, his team won 3-1.
Sure?
Are you sure? I'm not arguing with him, right? Thanks very much. It's the Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors. It's a special Euro night here, live at the Radisson Red, the Euro nights in association with Steen. And of course, the podcast will be on and available after the game tonight, which we're all hoping is going to be the start of a great 24, 26 hours. Rangers tonight, Celtic tomorrow in Leipzig. And up next is Rab. Rab, good evening.
Hiya, how are we doing?
Good. So you enjoying it here so far?
Aye, hospitality's been excellent.
Good. It's getting warm though, isn't it? We maybe get the...
I know you said the hospitality. You never said anything about the pundits. Are we all right?
Steady.
Let's go with mediocre.
Exactly.
I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
You're in the wrong channel. Right, so what are you thinking? What do you want to ask Mark and Barry, or what do you want to say?
This one was more for Barry.
Yep.
As an ex-Rangers captain, what's your take on James Tavernier's tenure as captain?
I've always been a big supporter of James Tavernier. He went through a sticky patch in terms of performances, and he was getting a bit of grief off the fans, which naturally happens when you don't play well. That's par for the course when you play at a big club. But I thought he came through that really strongly, and I think he's been leading from the front the last couple of years. I've been so impressed by him. You just need to look at his numbers, assists, goals. I know quite a few of them are penalties, but you've still got to have the bottle to stand up and take the penalties. And in general terms, I think he's one of Rangers' most important players, and I really like him as a footballer, and I think he's grew into the role as being captain. So
to give you an insight, if you're not watching on YouTube, I think you're a poker player because you're inscrutable, Scott. Rab, what are you thinking? What do you think about James Tavernier as captain?
Outstanding. I really do. I think he's been through the highs and lows with Rangers, and as a fan who's been through the highs and lows, you've got to applaud that, because to actually go up, take the stick he's took, look in the papers every day, and then come out and put a performance in, drive the team forward. He's no your Barry Ferguson kind of captain. He's no the screaming, shouting, drag you through a game. He's more kind of, I'll do on the part and you just follow what I'm doing kind of captain.
But that just shows you what type of character he is to come through the tough times, because when you're captain and you don't win games, generally it falls, the captain gets it. And that James Tavernier probably had to take a wee bit of time to get used to that. But I think he's grew into the role, and I think he's been a phenomenal Rangers player over the last few seasons, certainly. And to think back what Rangers paid for James Tavernier.
How much?
£300,000, I think it was.
Wow.
That's an absolute snip at that. So what he's done for Rangers over the years, I've always been a big supporter of him, and I've always backed him.
Mark, I like what he's saying today in the media. James Tavernier saying, we're not here in Liverpool for a night out. We're here to take something from this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's serious, and you have got to be a leader. He's a captain. He is, as Rab and Barry have said, and I like the way Rab worded his stuff there about Barry. What he's just been polite, saying a wee greeting face. But you're right, that's what he was. But he also set the standard on the field, and that's what James Tavernier, I think, has now been doing as a Rangers captain in Europe last season as well. You think Mark Warburton brought him to the club. He did have sticky times, had to win the Rangers fans over a number of times. Some things that he said in the media didn't help himself. We all know the well-documented stuff in the programme. But at $300,000, he's been outstanding. He's low maintenance, and there are a lot of penalties in there. You've still got to score penalties. A guy missed a penalty in the Europa League final.
Sure.
didn't win it.
Please don't. Please
so
don't.
But again, that shows you'd never take penalty kicks for granted. He's got the. I'm not allowed to say the word, to go up and take penalty kicks.
He's got the bottle.
He's got the bottle, that's the word I'm looking for. He's got the
You
bottle.
took him with a B.
I know what word you were looking at.
To go and do it.
But again, tonight, look,
it's
going to have to take 11 players to get a result tonight. But Tavernier is a leader, and if he can set that tempo, potential up against Mo Salah or Jota or whoever it's going to be, he's going to have. Listen, it'll be a great challenge for him, and I'm sure he'll love every minute of it. But again, he's going to have to be tip-top.
Do you know also another thing about him? Look at his attendance record. Look at the games that the guy's played. Very, very rarely is he injured. I know he had an injury a few weeks ago, but do you know what? A lot of people didn't know. He played through that injury for a couple of weeks. Never trained, but made himself available to go out in the field. So, yep, I'm a big fan of James Tavernier. I think he's been a brilliant Rangers player.
We're going to have the team news soon, aren't we? It will be out soon. Liverpool against Rangers, Champions League. Rab, what's your scoreline? What's going to happen?
2 each.
No, I meant the pizzas. What are you having? Which one are you going for? Pizza action?
The blue pizza.
Yeah, the blue one he's having. So you think 2 each?
I think 2 each. I think there's, depending who plays up front, if we get Morelos up front, then it gives Conor and whoever plays beside him a chance to get that diagonal in behind. And if you're looking at either Matondo or Kent, there's chances there. So, 2 each.
Big Peter in Mercantile Chambers in Bordwell Street asked me today, what do you think? And I said 2-2 tonight.
Yeah, 2-2.
So, Rab, thanks very much for joining us here live
Cheers,
at the
Rab.
Radisson Red. It's the special Euros night. Yeah, we're getting tucked into the pizza because kick-off is just about an hour and 20 minutes. What's that?
Sausage.
What's it called?
Nippy
sausage. There's no need for that. A wee bit of bullying going on here. But look, we're up for the rough and tumble, aren't we? In the Go Radio Football Show.
Anybody want the HR here?
Exactly. All of us. We're just, in fact, the team. Here is the team news. Mark, you've always got it first. It's McGregor, Tavernier, Lundstrom, Goldson, Steve Davis, Kent, Morelos, Ben Davies, Barisic, King, and Tillman. That's the
back three.
Yep.
It's the back three then tonight. That's the first
Yeah,
thing.
I did say that.
Screens
10,
out. Yeah,
15
back
minutes.
three.
I did think he maybe go back to I think at times it will be a back five, no doubt, because Liverpool will have the vast majority of the possession. But it looks to me if it's Ben Davies, Conor Galton, and Leon King with Barisic and Tavernier. Then you've got Stephen Davis,
Lundstrom and Davis as your two holders. Then you've got Kent on the left. You've got Tillman in the team as well, and you've got Alfredo Morelos leading the line. So it's a strong team, and for Liverpool as well. All the big hitters are in there. Mo Salah's in there. Diogo Jota's in there. The £70 million player Nunes is in there. Luis Diaz is in there, and it looks like Matip will partner Van Dijk at the heart of defence with Alexander-Arnold.
So he is
on the
in.
right hand side, he's in, and obviously Andrew Robertson doesn't make it, so it's a great pair. Shamikas, who is in at left back, who is, again, somebody that if it's going to be Tillman or whoever, can really get at him. And I wonder if he'll consider Barry putting Kent over that side, just to have a wee nip at him, because defensively he's not great. He's not great either on that the left back.
Okay, I'm surprised that. I'm just trying to look. There's no Scott Arfield, is there?
No, not Arfield. So it's Steve Davis and Lundstrom. It's a back five. Lundstrom and Steve Davis, your two holders.
Barisic,
Tillman, Kent are up there alongside Morelos.
What do you make of that, Rab, just before you go?
I'm not sure about Tillman. Really good at holding the ball in, but I think we could have been doing with another with Kent to try and push them up the field a wee bit. Let's hope we get something out of it. Just got to hope.
But you wonder again, pretty similar to Napoli, if he's going with the back three and the two wing backs, that Kent and Tillman will actually come in a wee bit more and be closer to Morelos to give him that. So he's not ploughing that in a lone furrow. So they're coming in, your full backs will bomb up and down, and Kent and Tillman will play almost like a proper triangle, quite a tight triangle beside Morelos.
Yeah, I'm surprised Arfield's on the bench. I'm surprised that Scott Arfield, like I've always says for a long time, I thought Scotty Arfield would have played tonight, but he's went for Tillman instead of Scott Arfield. I don't know what the crowd think of that. I would have went Arfield, experienced player, a top player in my eyes, Scott Arfield. So that's probably the biggest surprise. I did say at the start of the show that he maybe have went with a back three with Leon King. I would have no problems with Leon King. listen, I think the future is so bright for that young kid. I think he could be one of the ones where if he does really well, there's clubs that are going to be circling round about him, but he can handle big occasions.
On the bench for Rangers then, the keepers McCrory and McLaughlin, Yilmaz, Jack, Cholak, Matondo, Kamara, Wright, Sakala, Arfield, talk more about him in a moment, and Devine. Quick break and then we're back live.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars.
Let's go!
This is Paul Cooney with Barry Ferguson, Mark Guidi with the Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors live at the Radisson Red for Euro Nights in association with Steen. Yay! So, we gave you the teams just before the break there. Barry, first of all, I think you called it right about the three at the back, so the Rangers line-up.
Yeah, I think they're going to go 5-4-1 by the looks of it. Yep, I think they're going to go with Alan McGregor in goals. Three central defenders, King, Golston and Davies. Tavernier, Barisic, and I think they're going to go a flat four with Tillman, Lundstrom, Davis and Kent, and Morelos up top himself.
Graham is joining us here from Mount Vernon. Hi Graham,
Hi,
welcome.
good to see you guys.
So we're just throwing the team at you. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I'm surprised that we've changed the formation on a night like tonight and made the changes we have. Personally, I agree with Barry. I would have went for the experience at Arfield. I think before Tillman's got a bit of a history of going missing in the big occasion. Arfield's experience of playing at Anfield in the Premiership, I probably would have went with him. But other than that, a bit surprised to see King in the team, but sink or swim for the young boy tonight.
Giovanni obviously trusts King because he's thrown him in on a few occasions when he had other options.
Yeah, and I think we've always in this country we're a little bit reluctant sometimes to play young guys. And this is a night where he could come of age, or it could go alternative, go the other way. But at least if we try the guy out and see how it goes, and we might find that we've got a potential first team starter for us in the future going forward.
And the man 10 yards from you was thrown in at a young age for your debut. How old were you?
Yeah, I was 18 as well. But I mean, I've seen Leon King from the age of 14, and you could sense that there was a real player there. And all I think he needs is a bit of experience, a bit of game time, and it's brilliant that Gio does trust him at his young age. I do think he's got the mental strength to cope with playing at Anfield. I would have no issues with Leon King tonight. And the only change that I'm surprised was what you just says there, Tillman instead of Scott Arfield. But otherwise, he's going to try and frustrate Liverpool. That's what the game plan's going to be tonight, and hopefully they do that, because if they do that for the first 20-25 minutes, then the Anfield crowd might get a bit frustrated, might start giving their players a bit of stick, and then hopefully Rangers can come into the game. But the important thing is the first 15-20 minutes, make sure keep it closed at the back, and that back five and Alan McGregor need to be in for a top night tonight.
Mark, what about the Liverpool team now? You've had a look at the formation.
Yeah.
Much has been said about Alexander Trent. He's in, isn't he? Trent
He's
Alexander.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, you look at the front four and it's absolutely frightening. You talk about world class. It's genuine world class at the top end of the pitch. But equally at the back, they are susceptible. They can be got at. And as I said, they've only 2 clean sheets all season, which is so unlike Liverpool. They're going a 4-2, 3-1, 4. I mean, take your pick. Barry, I don't think you've got Nunez, you've got Diaz, you've got Salah, and you've got Jota. How he arranges the four of them at the top end of the pitch. Henderson and Thiago, your 2 holders, and then your back 4, Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Matip, and Shimikas with Alisson in goals. But you look at that 4, they're all interchangeable. The way they can get about the pitch. No Firmino in the starting lineup, but like we said, I think Giovanni, first and foremost, in his mind, and I totally get it, is let's not concede. Let's be really, really strong at the back. Let's have I think you're right, Barry, it's a strong back 5. Liam King's got plenty of protection there beside him. The guys will talk him through it. He'll be in between Galton and Tavernier, which is important. And then the other side, you're going to have Barisic and Davis. Davis has got experience, although he didn't play a lot of first team football, if anything, but he knows Anfield, he knows Liverpool. So it's a back 5. You don't want it to be like Amsterdam, where you're losing early goals and you cave in. So I think one thing you can say about Giovanni van Bronckhorst, for all his critics, he learns. You know, when something goes wrong first time, he'll try and rectify it. So he's learned from Amsterdam. We're away from home. We're up against a Liverpool team. We want to try and get our first point on the board. Let's not lose anything silly the first 20 minutes. If Liverpool are going to score, they're going to have to work really, really hard to get a goal.
And Graham, remember what your team did in the last game against Napoli. Played so well for so long with 11 men on the pitch.
We competed well, I think, that night. The red card obviously kind of set us back and kind of changed the game. I kind of hear what guys are saying about kind of defensively. I'm kind of thinking from an attacking perspective how we're going to actually score a goal and actually get forward and win the game. So I'm interested to see the different formation, how that kind of plays out as soon as the game starts, and if we can get into enough forward attacking positions to actually create chances for our forward players.
When you saw the draw for this, what did you think realistically Rangers would do?
I think we've got to be realistic. I think expectations are fairly low amongst the support. I don't think we can be expecting to go to Anfield tonight and be running over the top of this team. We've stepped up a level this season. It's going to be difficult for us to compete. You were talking about the values of some of the guys that Liverpool have got, in the forward positions. We've got to be realistic. It's going to be difficult tonight. If we can get to third place, it would be a great result for us overall at the end of the campaign, I think.
That front four that Mark's just mentioned, Rangers back five need to bring their A game, and also in these big games you need a slice of luck. You do. You need a wee bit of luck, and that's what Rangers will need, because I don't know what the front four of Liverpool, a rough estimation, top of my head, you're talking 250, 300
market
million
value.
Yep. So you know what you're coming up against, but again, Liverpool haven't been at it this season. I've watched them a few times. They're not the same Liverpool as they have been previous seasons. But listen, Rangers need to make sure they start the game and be solid and compact. Don't give anything away and try and frustrate the Liverpool crowd.
So, you've seen the team. Their team is frightening, especially up front there. But Rangers are there. What's your scoreline tonight, Graham?
I'm going for a heroic 1-0 victory, which will live long in the memory with a Tavernier free kick.
James Tavernier himself. Yeah, wow.
I won't be going home tonight.
Okay, right, is that right? Can we check him in? His usual suite for Barry. Graham, thanks so much. Speak to you later.
Thank you.
Mark?
Also just nice as well, just another wee touch. Calvin Ramsey on the bench for Liverpool. So it's good to see a Scotsman. Good to see a Scotsman on the bench.
He's been getting plaudits the last 2 or 3 weeks. Klopp spoke about him.
He did, didn't he?
We seen his potential at Aberdeen.
Yep.
I mean, I think it was £4 or £5 million. I think in time, just let him adjust down there, and I think in time he could find his way into that Liverpool team.
In just over an hour, we'll hear the Champions League music that we all love. We've missed it for such a long time. It's been back, obviously, in recent months because of the Champions League, with Rangers there. Celtic tomorrow night against RB Leipzig. Tonight at Anfield. Rangers just over an hour away from kick-off. We're in the Radisson Red. We're coming live, and Michael is joining us now. Michael, where are you from?
I'm from Kings Park.
Kings Park in the south side.
Yes.
Great to see you here.
Beside Hampden.
Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
Steeped in it, in the football. Yeah. What are you thinking tonight? What you've heard so far? The teams, Liverpool, Rangers?
a few. Obviously, heard you guys talking about the Kolak, the Morelos decisions, Tillman's. Wee bit of an interesting one. I think when he first came to the club, he was doing well. He scored a few goals, and then the form just kind of drifted away a wee bit. So it's probably nice to see him back in. Maybe he was the one that can come up with a couple tonight, hopefully. Yeah.
What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Tillman, they've raved about him at the club, and he's right. He's maybe disappeared. But what you've got to remember, and I've heard Giovanni Van Bronckhorst say this about him. Okay, he's at Bayern Munich and he's at Rangers on loan. There's big expectations, but he's a baby. He's a baby. He's only got 10 or 15 first team games under his belt. But one thing that he can do, if he's given tactical instruction, he can follow them. So there's no doubt that there's a reason for him, obviously, for him playing there. There'll be a plan for Tillman. Now, whether they think Tillman can really get it to Shmikas on the left back area, just drag him in, whether they think he can get it Matic, whatever it is, there'll be a reason why Tillman's playing. It'll be interesting to see what the instructions are, because we do know, again, with Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, every European game, there's a lot of thought, isn't there? He does his homework, him and his staff. They look at the opposition in detail. They try to spot weak links, and then they'll try to exploit those weak links. And clearly, Tillman's going to have an important role tonight, because, as Graham said, they sat in the chair there before you, Michael.
Yep.
How do we get up the pitch? How are we going to get at Liverpool's back four?
Yeah,
and clearly, it's going to be Kent, Tillman, and Morelos, with the two of them really being up top to support Morelos, who'll be up there on his own.
What did you make of the former chairman's comments, Dave King, who said that, it was a great run in the Euros, going to the final to lose out to Eintracht, but he would have preferred to concentrate on the title, which he thought he could have won. Is that a distraction in any way to you? Because that must have been a bit special. Were you in Seville?
I wasn't. I was watching it at home with my girlfriend and family, and we made a good night of it. But it was a great run, fantastic run. And to go out the way we did was cruel. But the game itself, I think Frankfurt probably had the best of the 60, 70 minutes of the game, and then we got the half chances at the end of the match. But great run. It was, yeah.
What are you feeling about Morelos? He's hardly criticised by Rangers fans, but sometimes we're critical because he missed out in the Champions League, the Malmo game last week. He came back from Colombia. He played 7 minutes, but he wasn't to be seen. And then this season as well, he wasn't ready for it.
I think he is still our go-to player when it comes to Europe. He's been fantastic. His record in the Europa League speaks for itself. I think it is a wee bit unfortunate for Kolak to have such a good performance here against Hearts, and now he's potentially benched, isn't he, after these 2 goals. But I think he's got a lot to still offer. Whether he's going to be that impact player, because Morelos can be that, but whether Kolak can be that, maybe later in the game tonight. But he's in there for a reason, Morelos, and as you say, it's maybe he's the one to drag the defence. Sure. Side to side, he's there for a reason, yeah. Does
he get another big contract, Barry? Because this is a huge stage for him tonight, and also people will watch him, Morelos.
Yeah, I mean, both Morelos and Kent are up at the end of the season, and it's been pretty quiet.
Ryan Jack.
Yep, and Ryan Jack. That's 3 for me, really important players for Rangers. But listen, if these guys want to go on to bigger leagues, well, they need to produce big performances, and no better than the Champions League at Anfield tonight.
What are you feeling now, Barry? You've had a few moments to think about the 2 teams, a couple of surprises in there. But
the only surprise to me is Tillman instead of Scott Arfield. Yeah. I kind of thought he maybe have went with a back 3. I have no problem with Leon King. I've spoke about him, what I think of him. That's the only surprise. But listen, Gio's obviously has put his trust in it. But Mark makes a good point about Tillman. People have got to remember that he's very, very inexperienced. He's at a top club in Bayern Munich. I think he's 20 years of age. I think with more experience, more games, I think he can become a top player.
That is a good point, Mark, about Tillman. And maybe
he knows the game, Mark, doesn't he, a wee bit?
Yeah, he does indeed. Maybe he will.
Meant Tillman,
But Tillman could come out with something special, as Matondo did at the weekend, because Matondo had done virtually nothing. And I know it's Hearts, which is not Liverpool, but Hearts been in good form. Could it be Tillman's night?
Yeah, it could, Paul. He's got the talent, and like I say, you speak even publicly, but sometimes, but more importantly, privately, you get a better insight, and privately they rave about Tillman. I think he's a special talent. But that said, the caveat, he is a baby. He's a kid. He's learning the game. But if you get to Bayern Munich, you've got stock about you. You can take things in, and that's what I think. The tactical instruction will be key to whatever it is Giovanni's got planned for him tonight. He'll have thought of somewhere to try and hurt Liverpool. And then if you've got the good thing about Matondo, Paul, from Saturday is he was completely out the picture. It was a waste of money, another 2 or 3 million quid down the drain. What are they thinking about? But if he's required to come off the bench tonight, he'll be confident, having had that game under his belt on Saturday. Morelos will be confident. He should be loving this game tonight. See, Morelos, he should have the game of his life. He might only get one chance. It might just be one chance he'll get tonight. But if he can bury it the way he buried his goal on Saturday against Craig Gordon, then there's every chance.
This is his stage tonight. This is a perfect stage for your big players, Morelos, Kent, guys who are probably the fans are wondering why they've not put pen to paper. I was confident a month ago that both would sign. Now as the months go on, I'm starting to wonder. But for me, Morelos is a top striker. He's learned his lesson. He's took his medicine. He's come back to me. He's looked sharper and fitter. That's what you want to see from Morelos. And Ryan Kent showed me on Saturday that he's willing to pop the ball in the back of the net. He's assisted with a great cross for Sholak. Big stage for big players tonight, and hopefully these guys can turn up.
In the first hour, Barry Ferguson has said that this is the stage for Alfredo Morelos tonight. Your scoreline again? Just give us it.
My scoreline, we just need points on the board, don't we? I think that's the ultimate bit. A Rangers win. A 2-1 maybe.
Would you take that, Michael?
I think so. Just points on the board, I think.
We'll go to the news and then we're back live. We're an hour away from kick-off. Liverpool against Rangers.
There's a new name for Toyota in Lanarkshire.
From one of the UK's biggest names in motor retail.
Macklin Motors Toyota opens this October in Hamilton.
We're bringing you everything Toyota backed by first-class service.
So come and view the stunning new Toyota range, all with up to 10 years warranty.
Including the Igo Cross and the new Yaris Cross compact SUV.
See our great choice of approved used Toyotas.
Our formidable range of commercial vehicles, including the Hilux.
Get expert servicing from our manufacturer-trained technicians.
And specialist advice from our Motability team.
Macklin Motors Toyota opens Monday, October the 17th.
At Whistlebury Road, Hamilton.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars. Let's go!
This is the Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors. Good evening. We're coming live from the Radisson Red for Euro Nights in association with Steen. And you know what? We're only 55 minutes away from the Champions League music. And more importantly, Liverpool against Rangers. The headlines now at just after 7 o'clock. Barry Ferguson says he's getting excited now.
Yeah, excited, nervous.
Yep.
I was always like that as a player, but as a supporter now, even watching the games, it's back to your playing days. But again, this is a game. I'm sure the fans, the players, everybody connected with Rangers, you've got to be excited. You're in the Champions League. You're going to play against, in my eyes, a top team with a top manager, top players, and a brilliant stadium. So I'm really looking forward to it. Rangers, after the weekend, they've got to take a bit of confidence, as we spoke about that performance against Hearts at Tynecastle. So after the team came out, I'm sure he's going to go down and try and frustrate them with the back five. And hopefully they can do that, because as long as the game goes on, you're then hopeful that the Liverpool supporters begin to get frustrated, the Liverpool players begin to get frustrated, and you never know, maybe Rangers can nick something.
Mark, the Liverpool team, we've given the Rangers team a few times. 5 at the back. We've got Morelos is in.
Yep.
He can hold the ball up in a way that Čolak probably couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, Morelos is Rangers' best striker, there's no doubt about that. But Čolak's been terrific. But when you're getting to your big games, you need big performances. You do turn to Morelos, as long as he's behaving himself, which he is doing just now. Therefore, he quite rightly starts the game. We've gone Tillman and Kent to get as close to him as possible and cause a very fragile Liverpool back four, Paul. That's the key to it. Liverpool are fragile. They've only had 2 clean sheets in 10 games. They conceded 3 goals to Brighton. Great character to come back from 2 down, but then concede a goal with 10 minutes to go. Probably would have lost the game had it not been for Alisson. So you can get at this back four. They're getting in there, not confident at all. 2 fullbacks. You can get them. You can definitely get them. And Van Dijk is one of the best defenders in the world. But this season, he's not been the Van Dijk that we all know. Henderson and Thiago in front of him can protect, and then you've got the front four. And look, as Barry said, you're going to need a lot of luck. To get a result tonight, you're going to need a lot of luck. You're going to need them to be off it, and you're going to need the Rangers back 5 and the goalkeeper to be right bang on it. But if ever there's a time to get Liverpool, Paul, it's tonight.
What's important as well, Liverpool are going to have the vast majority of possession, but when Rangers do gain possession, they've got to try and keep it. It's no point in just getting it for a second and then losing possession to Liverpool. That's where guys like Stephen Davis, I think, who's got a calm head in the middle of the pitch, who can calm people down. But that front four of Liverpool, they don't play one position, they all interchange with each other. They're great movement, great ability. And the Rangers back 5, including Alan McGregor, and that 6, they need to have a top game. They need to be really solid, and as I said, you always need a wee bit of slice of luck, but I think you've got to earn that luck. And that means throwing your body at the ball, blocking shots. It really needs to be a real team performance. And listen, they've shown that they can come back for bad results. They've had a bit of criticism, and I always look at signs of how do they react to that, and they've certainly reacted in the right manner. Getting 3 points against Dundee United wasn't a great performance. International break, but they've come back off international break with a brilliant performance at Tynecastle, and hopefully now they can carry it into tonight.
Robert from Renfrew is with us. Hi, Robert.
Hi, guys. How we doing?
Good.
Robert.
How are you feeling? What about the Rangers lineup tonight?
I'm optimistic. It's going to be a bit controversial. I think, as Barry says, we're going to have to keep possession, and I think Glenn Kamara would have been ideal for that. But obviously recent circumstances, he's not in the team, and
he's out of favour at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah. But I think he's a brilliant player. Take the ball back, take the ball anywhere really, keep possession, and I think he would have been an ideal player for this game.
Good point, Barry. That's somebody that you raved about for a few seasons.
Yeah, I like Glenn Kamara. I mean, again, we were talking about James Tavernier getting bought for 300,000. Glenn Kamara, 50 grand. What a piece of business that was. Look, he's no flavour of the month just now. He's struggling to get into the team.
What's wrong?
I don't know, maybe a slight loss of form. Look, Gio sees him every single day in, day out in training. But I look at the two central midfield players that are playing tonight. Lundstram, I think, has been fantastic. After I wouldn't say a ropey, he struggled the first 6 months, but I always backed him because I'd seen him plenty of times. He became a real important player for Rangers. Stephen Davis, for me, is just a phenomenal football player. It's an area where Rangers are pretty strong. And Glenn Kamara at this moment in time struggling to get into it, but he's a very good player, Glenn Kamara.
What did you want to ask? You've got something to take us back, I think. Yeah. Let's see this, Robert.
What's his first European football memory growing up as a young boy?
My first and my most favourite.
Your first and your best.
My best one was the Battle of Britain. 1992, was it 93? Yeah, it was 92 against Leeds. I'm sure quite a few people in here will remember that. That was a team that were my heroes. The guys that played in there, like McCoy, Haitley, Stuart McCalls, Richard Goffs, guys like Andy Gorham. That was a phenomenal team. And it was labelled that Leeds, if I remember back, I was only 13 at the time. Leeds would easily brush Rangers aside. That was the English press, the media. But Rangers showed their quality at that time, and it was a brilliant double header, and Rangers thoroughly deserved to go through. And I remember Mark Haitley's goal from, I think, 25-30 yards. What a goal! Coisty scoring as well. So yeah, that's my favourite Rangers team as well. And as I said, so many of the players were my hero.
We covered it live on STV at the time. Jim White, sure mate, we were there, and that was an amazing night.
I love a name drop, didn't you?
Exactly, he was on the phone earlier. Just, well, it was almost Souness last night, and Graham Souness said 3-3, but I think the former manager was hedging his bets. I mean, the biggest night ever was 50 years ago when Rangers won the Cup Winners' Cup, 3-2 against Dinamo in Barcelona. I suppose that was their biggest ever, and you came so close in Seville.
Oh, that's right. I used to stay at my granda's, and used to have a picture in the room with the Cup Winners team on the wall, and it was just he used to tell me about it, so it's a good memory.
What do you feel about the manager? Because people were giving him stick about the performance, mainly in the title race, but your 2 points. But what do you feel about Giovanni?
I like Gio. I've got trust in Gio. He can only work with what he's got, and I feel like he's done a good job just now. We're pretty steady, and there's a long way to go in the season, so I'm optimistic.
Mark?
Good to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we were on the show on Friday night. The first two callers were Rangers fans, and it was almost as if they were taking it for granted that Rangers weren't going to win at Tynecastle, and they wanted Giovanni sacked, at full time on Saturday afternoon. So he's still got a lot of work to do to win the Rangers fan. Quite a number of Rangers fans over, which I don't agree with. I think he is the right manager for Rangers. He's not even been in the job a year. He's won a cup. He's taken to a European final. He's got to the Champions League, and he's turned guys like Calvin Bassey into £20 million footballers. So financially for the football club, he has been an absolute saviour for Rangers, and that shouldn't be forgotten either. And if you didn't have Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, I don't know who's going to be better out there realistically to take the Rangers job. So I like to hear Robert, I like to hear the manager being backed. He thoroughly deserves it. He deserves more backing. At the end of the day, you've got to remember too, he's up against a right good Celtic team, and that's just a fact, and it's not always pleasant for Rangers fans to admit that, but he's up against a really good Celtic. You've just got to hang in there when that's the case, Paul, and Rangers are doing that now. Only 2 points of a difference, 3 Old Firm games to come the rest of the season, so therefore I like to hear Giovanni being backed.
Yeah, I'm not just saying it because I'm an ex-teammate, and he was a brilliant Rangers player, but I think he's got potential to be a brilliant Rangers manager. Look, I think where it's been difficult for the Rangers fans, are the reason why he's come in for a bit of stick, Mark, is because of that 3-game period against Celtic. Again, he's went to Celtic Park and get ran over the top of, and then the response to that against Ajax was even worse, I would say. But for me, you've still got to give him time. I still think he knows the game inside out. he's a good coach. He's got an eye for a player. So I think he deserves a bit more time.
He's also a really brave coach.
Yeah.
You look at some of the decisions he made in Europe, half-time, Borussia Dortmund. He's a brave coach. He believes in, and he clearly, the players believe in him because they follow his instructions. Like again tonight, Leon King in a back three.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be well drilled. Now, Rangers might still lose the game, but they'll be well drilled. They'll be prepared. And as long as if the Rangers back five in the goal, if you want to call it a back eight, if you take Lundstram and Davis, you're back five in your goal. So it's a back eight. If they're tactically disciplined tonight, then Rangers definitely have got a chance.
What's the scoreline for you, Robert?
I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to go for 2-1 Rangers.
2-1 Rangers. Brilliant.
But I'll be happy with a draw.
Okay. We'll talk to you later in the podcast. Thanks very much, Robert, from Renfrew. We're here with Macklin Motors. It's the Go Radio Football Show. We've got a special Euro night here, live at the Radisson Red.
I listened to the show on Friday. I was going to run. I listened back to the podcast, and I was surprised that the fans, but that's the general feeling when I've been out and about, Paul. And I was speaking to Mark off air about it, like people asking me about Gio, what do you think, or we want to maybe get rid of him, and I find it very surprising. I've got to be honest with you.
You can ask Tommy, who's with us. Hi, Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy will tell us the truth.
Well, Barry, you've actually answered my question before I come on there. Because I was going to ask you, you played for Rangers all your days as a young kid. For me, the jury's out in Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. I would say so. I'll tell you why, right? We played Celtic at Celtic Park, which was a sore result. You played the boy for Man United, young boy we had there.
Diallo.
What's his name? Diallo, right? Diallo. Put him in the cauldron of Celtic Park on a Wednesday night. 60,000 Celtic fans there. You done the same with Boy Tillman. None of the two of them ever showed up in that game, right? So why would you put Tillman at Anfield, in the cauldron at Anfield, against Liverpool? I know you said, Mark, they're very jetted at the back. That's in the Premiership. Tonight they're playing Rangers. Liverpool are playing one up front, right?
Yep. Morelos
the one up front they're playing, Giovanni slated that boy 5 weeks ago, didn't he? In Sky Sports, didn't he? His attitude wasn't right.
And rightly so.
His fitness wasn't right.
Yeah.
And he's playing against Liverpool, one up front. Mark, I think Liverpool's defence is going to have an easy night tonight.
They may well have Tommy.
For me, I would take Tillman out and I put Kolak in along with Morelos. I'd give them something to think about.
Okay.
I like a 5-3-2. Play both of them up top.
I'd love to see that. We've spoken about it. In fact, we had a long discussion about it in the podcast the night after the Ajax game when we thought Rangers were going to Pittodrie. The game was postponed. But I'd agree. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen in the modern day game, Tommy. But I'd love to see that. I'd love to see the two of them up there
let's
together.
Be honest, guys, right? Let's be honest here, Barry. You're a Rangers man. I'm not sure about you, Mark. Paul, you're a Celtic man, right?
Tommy's got it all sussed, didn't he?
Anyway. Other football clubs are available. Tommy, you started very well there.
Tommy, you've just been muted.
Keep going. That's a very good point you've got, though.
No,
about
Barry, let's be honest, right?
Rangers should have gone
for
it.
Any Bears in here. Is Rangers going to qualify in this Champions League?
No, I said it's going to be very,
we're
very
not going to
difficult.
qualify.
No chance.
This is a great game for Rangers. My second team's Liverpool, my first team's Rangers, right? Why don't you just go for it, Gio? And I hate to say it, Postecoglou goes for it. He had Real Madrid thinking for 25 minutes at Celtic Park, didn't he?
I would say even 60 minutes.
60 minutes, okay. I can't shoot 60.
I think that, and I've said it, I think the reason why he's going for a back five, and Barry just mentioned it 3 minutes ago, the run of the three results, Tommy, 11 goals conceded, none scored, Celtic, Ajax and Napoli. Javari can't afford a sore one tonight. I don't think he would or should lose his job if Rangers happen to lose 4 or 5-0 tonight. But he can't afford a sore one. He needs to, if he can get away with a 1-0 or a 2-1 or a 2-0 defeat, fine if it's a credible performance that Celtic went against Real Madrid, but he can't, as manager, he can't afford a sore one because the fans will really turn on him if that happens.
See, when you lose 4 at Celtic Park, I would rather lose 6 at Anfield, believe me.
Yeah.
Right, Tommy, you made a good point there to Barry. Should Rangers tonight have gone to try to do a Brighton? I know that's a league game rather than Champions League, but go at Liverpool.
I get where he's coming from. Me and Mark did speak about it when the weekend the games were getting cancelled, and I thought he would have changed it totally to a 5-3-2, go something different with 2 up top. If you look back to the Napoli game, Ryan Kent was basically the partner for Morelos. It was basically a 5-3-2, and for that 60 minutes before Sands gets sent off, I thought Napoli knew they were in a game.
Aye, they were in a game, definitely, aye.
But don't be surprised if that maybe happens tonight. I'm saying maybe a 5-4-1, but don't be surprised if Ryan Kent partners Morelos up top. But I get where you're coming from. You've got a guy who has scored 11 goals in Sholak.
Yeah,
I get it.
He's went to Rangers and just fitted in well.
Yeah.
Do you remember the days when Mark Hartley came to Rangers? I remember being in the Copeland Road. We booed Mark Hartley.
He struggled for a while, didn't he?
We booed Mark Hartley. We called him a mercenary. He was hopeless as this, and the rest of sister would be Mark Hartley. I think Gio should go, you know what? We're not going to qualify. We'll play safe at the back. Let me try Morelos and Kolak.
Right, listen, let's try.
Leave the boy Tillman out.
James,
He's only 20 years of age.
Can I just say, but if you look at that week, that 7 days, you look at Celtic, you look at Ajax, you look at Napoli, I think he's maybe looking, right, you know what, shut up shop, let's been really tough to play against, and then maybe open it up. Maybe he might throw a Sholak on if it's nothing each and say, right, you know what, last half hour, let's go for it.
Well, we all know Morelos on his game, he's unplayable. He proved that against
I think he's the
Dortmund.
best number 9 at the club.
Aye, definitely. Kolak's is just in.
Right.
So,
yeah, he's done brilliant. Listen,
he's done well, but
he's out of all the signings.
He's unplayable, and Ken can play good with Morelos. But
okay. Right, Tommy.
You just want 2 up front.
Don't ask me to score, Paul. I'm not telling you.
You're not telling me. Well, hold on before we do it.
He told me you there.
Okay, I'm going to ask you in a second too. James, can we get Giovanni on the phone?
You've just said you're live on air.
Use Barry's mobile.
I'm going to say who to.
These two are on the Barry's mobile. See if we can get him. Tommy says they should play 2 up front. Okay, there's still. Can you get the team lines are in? Come on, Barry. We take your call before the game. Love the passion, Tommy. Okay, give us your scoreline then. What do you think?
With my heart,
yep.
I'd probably say 1 each.
And your head?
With the head, with the team we're playing against and the setup. I'm not saying it because all the Bears are there.
They're going to...
I'm saying nothing. 3-0.
3 or 4. 3-0.
3.
Yep. Is that what you think? Anyway, Tommy, thanks for being with us. We'll speak to you later for the podcast.
I hope you turned that off when I said that, right?
No, it's all right. Quick break and then we're back. We're only, 40 minutes away from kick-off.
I just want...
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars. Let's go!
This is Paul Cooney with Barry Ferguson and Mark Guidi. The Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors, and we're live at the Radisson Red in Glasgow for Euro Nights in association with Steen. I'll tell you what, the place is rocking. It is, isn't it? You're enjoying the pizza and all the rest. We've been well looked after here by the team at Radisson Red. So, Scott, you were on earlier by public demand. You're still in the building. And Scott, people have still been on to you earlier on. You had quite a few messages from people. Great to hear you on Go Radio. And thanks everyone for making the switch. We're on from 5 every night, apart from tonight when we're on at 6.
And 4 tomorrow night.
That'll come up at the best of the week. So normally at 5 and tomorrow, yes, at 4. Mark Hughes there, my sidekick. Scott, what are you thinking now? Because we spoke to you in the first hour before the team. What are you reckoning?
I did say 1 each earlier.
Right, for those tuning in, Barry, Rangers, how are they going to actually line up tonight?
Yeah, I think they're going to go a 5-4-1. Paul, Allen McGregor in goals. 3 central defenders, King, Golston and Davies. Right back, James Tavernier, Barisic at left back, Lundstrom, Steve Davis centrally, Tillman in the right, Ryan Kent in the left, and Alfredo Morelos up top.
Up against the team who they had much of the pressure in the final against Real Madrid, and then they lost out. But 3 finals in 5 years. Liverpool line up tonight?
Yeah, they're going a 4-2-4, 4-2-1-3. What you want to look at, Paul? It's Alisson in goals, Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Matip and Shimikas at the back, Henderson and Thiago, the 2 holders, and then a front 4 who will interchange Núñez, Diaz, Salah and Jota. What a lineup from Liverpool tonight.
I mean, the front 4 at Liverpool are frightening, but one guy they can't give a second to on the ball is Thiago. You give him any space. I mean, what a football player that boy is in the middle of the pitch.
Scott, what are you thinking now that you've heard both teams?
It's a pity he's back, to be fair, because he has quality. Do you know what I mean? I think Milner and Henderson are obviously older, and I think that's been Liverpool's problem recently. They're going to overrun the middle of the park. When you watch the Premiership, obviously him back in might be a concern, but just what do you think about Tillman on the right? Obviously we played him there at Parkhead and
he struggled.
It didn't work at all. Then he's took him back out and now he's put him back in another big game.
Well, I'm thinking maybe he's learned from the Celtic Park performance and defeat, but again, personally, there's one guy I think should be playing more. If he's fit and available, Scott Arfield, whether that's in the right or whether that's centrally, with the team he put out, that was the one that I've marked down as the biggest surprise to me, Tillman instead of Scott Arfield. I don't know what you think. I would have went Scott Arfield, but
Arfield's good because he makes these runs. Centre halves have to have a look, say, oh, he's making this run, I need to pick him up. And it creates,
but he's also got the experience. He's played down in England. He's played at Anfield for Burnley when he was there in the Premier League. So that's probably the only surprise that when Gio's named the team that he's went for Tillman instead of Scott Arfield.
You played alongside Giovanni. You know him really well. You've just said he could well be a great Rangers manager. He's quite stubborn though about some players, isn't he? And Scott Arfield's maybe one of them, where you've said a few times this season he would have added to the team.
No, I just think, Paul, from that period, that bad week that Rangers had in terms of getting beat off Celtic, getting beat off Ajax, getting beat off Napoli. Obviously the game was cancelled against Aberdeen. I thought he had to go back, and I don't like using the word old guard, but he's went back to guys like Stephen Davis, Scott Arfield, Alan McGregor, guys who you can trust, but also they're proper football players, they're proper characters. I know what certainly Griggsy's like and Stephen Davis. I know what they're like in the dressing room. I don't know what Scott Arfield's like, but I can imagine with watching him what he's like. He's got a bit of passion, he's got a bit of fire in his belly, and I think it was important that these guys come back in. And to be fair to Gio, he's brought them back in and they've stayed in apart from tonight, like Scott Arfield.
I think that that word that you used there, Paul, stubborn. I think there was a definite stubbornness towards Stephen Davis. Because a number of games last season, we thought Davis would come in and play the big games, the big moments, and I think it's maybe just now this season that the manager's really started to value Steve because he wouldn't be playing tonight.
That's a good point, because there was a lot of games last season he never played them, and you're saying Davis should be playing the day, get on the ball and get it ticking over and that, but
because you look at the game that sticks out for me and it was important for Rangers was the Scottish Cup semi-final against Celtic when Steve Davis was absolutely superb. He ran it and he was brilliant, and that was a key game for Giovanni and for the club.
Alan, let's hear a wee bit more of Giovanni van Bronckhorst just talking about the challenge tonight or the game. This is what he said yesterday at Anfield 24 hours ago when Rangers went there to have a look at the great football stadium. Here is Giovanni.
Well, it's going to be very difficult. It's a team who performed really well in the Premier League. They were in 3 finals last 5 years. It's, I think, still one of the best teams in Europe. So if you look at all our opponents we faced the last season in Europe and also this season, probably this is the strongest side.
Scott, see, when you think about it though, think 10 years ago, the journey that you went on, could you have imagined you would be back, and it went on for 4 or 5 years,
never,
that you'd be in the Champions League up against Liverpool? No, never.
It was a long road, you know what I mean, but everything stuck together and we got back, so that's what it's all about.
Had you ever been to Peterhead before that happened, going round the country?
I've never
in
been
Brecon?
to Peterhead, no.
Did you not go
No.
in Brecon? But the Rangers fans stuck by the team, and you're back here. Would you give credit to the directors, Douglas Park, John Bennett and the others who've ploughed a lot of money in to the club?
100%. I mean, you look where the club was back then, all the players leaving, and we never even had a squad at one point, you know what I mean? I know Ali gets a lot of stick in that, but he's had to just cobble together a squad there in the kind of last minute and do what he can do, get us up through the leagues, and never worked out for him in the end up, but I don't think he ever got a fair crack at it.
But I think Rangers fans now have great feeling about Ali McCoist. Because you were left, it was in the deck of the Titanic, really. He was left as the captain. He wasn't the owner of the ship, but he's a man that was there.
He put the steel hats on, didn't he?
He did. He did for Ali. So, Giovanni, I hear you about Scott Arfield. It is Tillman, it's in there. Do you think Tillman could produce something tonight? Will he produce something?
Hopefully. I mean, to be fair, he did look good. Yep. And then they played him right side at Celtic Park, and it didn't work out then. I've not really seen him since. Sure. So it's a massive game for him.
I think
it's a big surprise. I think a lot of people are taking.
I didn't think he'd be playing tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, it came as a total surprise to me. But one thing I will say, and me and Mark spoke about Tillman, people need to remember he's 20 years of age. He's not had a lot of experience first team football, but to throw a young man in, Gio must trust him. If he's put them in tonight against Liverpool.
He's not stupid, the manager. So he must have a plan.
He knows the game inside out, Gio.
You played him, didn't you? So you know him better than him, do.
Yeah, but I think given time, I think he can be a great Rangers manager.
Yeah,
I really
agree.
do believe that, and I'm not just saying that because he was a teammate.
Sure.
And me and Gio had a brilliant relationship for a couple of years before he left to go to Arsenal. I do think given time and the right tools, I think he can become a great Rangers manager.
I have to say, I don't think he's getting to prove as Rangers manager. I know it would be on end-alls winning in a title, and I get that, and stopping Celtic, I get that. But even if it doesn't work out for him, and he doesn't win a title, and he's out of job in the summer or whatever, I don't think he's got anything to prove. He's a top manager. He knows his stuff. You look at his CV, you look at what he's achieved at Rangers in 10 months. You know, on the park and off the park. The financial stability that he's helped give the club in a number of ways. He got Rangers into the Champions League, 2 tough qualifiers. Steven Gerrard never mind it. Steven Gerrard got 1 trophy in 3 seasons, albeit it was the biggest one of all to stop 10 in a row. I get that. But Steven Gerrard has never had an ounce of the stick that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has had, and I don't quite get it. I know there's been a couple of thumpings at Celtic Park, and that's sore to take, but you look at the bigger picture, he's a right good manager, and I just find it really strange, and I think really unfair, that it's almost like at the moment he's having to prove himself game by game.
Scott, would you agree?
Yeah, I think if you look at that run last season, tactically in the games, the changes he made, dropping Lundstrom back, making it free and stuff like that, we never really seen that. Gerrard was very rigid. He had a set formation and that was it. But I think Gio was a bit more flexible within the game. So I quite like him. I think he'll do well. If we back him, we need to back him though.
Let's check with the man in the know. Do you think Steven Gerrard will be there tonight watching the game? Liverpool against Rangers? Because most of the team's his, isn't it?
I would imagine so. Yep.
Where will he be? Is there a neutral position then in the director's box?
I would like to think he's in the Rangers then, if I'm being honest. No, but listen, he'll definitely 2 clubs that obviously Rangers were. Listen, he'll think a lot of Rangers. They were a club that gave him his big break in management. And as Mark says, he came up here, and again it was a slow burner with Stevie G. But listen, he got what all Rangers fans crave for, was stopping Celtic for the 10 in a row. He won the league, and he'll go down a hero for years to come.
I think the Europa League, I mean, getting us into the Groups Europa League, was it 3 years in a row he done that?
Yeah, he was impressive.
That was massive with the money and the finance and all that, so you can't forget that. I know he wasn't winning League Cups, and I mean, would you want to win a League Cup or get in the Europa League? You look at the money. I know Rangers need to win trophies, you know that, Barry, do you know what I mean? But
are you surprised that more of the money that has come in the past year hasn't gone into the team? But I know there was a lot of debt there. There's also, you know, the work in the stadium has been huge. I know that.
Yeah,
tens
people
of
need
millions.
to be. I mean, there was £23 million spent on at Ibrox in the training.
23 million.
It was falling apart. It was falling apart. So £23 million over the last couple of years has been straight back into Ibrox in the training centre, which it was badly needed because there was parts of Ibrox that were getting closed down. So Rangers need to have that open for the 52,000 fans to get in, and for people to buy season.
I thought he'd have spent some money in the middle of the park, because if you look at, he's obviously brought Goldson in, Baracic's money, the young Turkish boys' money. We've spent money in Kent. We've not actually spent any money in the midfield. Kamara's 50 grand, Lundstrom's a free, Davis a free, Arfield's a free. We've not spent a penny in the middle of the park.
You don't need to spend money, Scott. You look at.
I know that.
Look, with the benefit of hindsight, had you paid £3 million for Lundstrom, you'd be saying that was money well spent.
I know what
had
you're
you paid
saying.
£2 million for Kamara, you'd say that was money well spent. So it's not about it's about the quality that you bring in. And I think that it's probably been a source of frustration. It was certainly a source of frustration for Steven Gerrard last summer, when he felt he didn't get the backing that he wanted. A bit of frustration probably for Giovanni, having beaten PSV. There was nothing really done in the 7 days thereafter. That said, at some point, the guys who have given the Rangers money, and remember, it's mainly been loans, it's not been donations, they have to get their money back out, which is only fair. And if it's the time's now to go and get some of that money back out, you can't blame them, because they've propped the club up for the past 5 years.
You can understand why I've not spent a lot of money, do you know what I mean? But after the journey we went through and where we were, you can say, right, let's...
Not just about the money spent at Ibrox and Murray Park. People forget, people have had contract extensions, which cost a lot of money. James Tavernier, Conor Galton, Stephen Davis, Alan McGregor, Scott Arfield. These are important players that Rangers had to keep for, in my eyes. So there was a lot of money spent on that as well.
Are you changing your prediction now that you've heard the teams, Scott? What do you think? Final word?
And we'll win 2-1 now. We've got a last minute winner.
Right. Thanks very much for joining us, Scott. We'll speak to you later.
Scott.
Thanks so much. It's the Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors, and it's a big Euro night live here at the Radisson Red in Glasgow. It's absolutely magnificent. You'll be up with a glass of champagne if it's a good result on the rooftop test. Because we're here with Steen. Yeah, a couple of bottles. No problem. Absolutely delighted. The tick is good here. Gary's joining us now. Hi, Gary.
How are we, lads? You all right?
Good. Yeah. Let's. What are you thinking?
Well, this one I'm going to give to Barry.
Go on. Where are you from?
Renfrew.
From Renfrew as well. Yeah.
Renfrew. I came with the big Robert. You're a manager. How would you set the team up for tonight for Rangers?
I would go and try and really frustrate them for certainly the first 20-25 minutes. And I think you have to go. You've got to respect the quality you're coming up against. Now, that front four I spoke about, 250 million, 300 million pounds worth. They're top quality players. So I would go and, I wouldn't say park the bus, but just make sure you don't concede. And then as the game goes on, then they can maybe open up, and that's where maybe you might change your shape and go a 5-3-2 and bring a Sholak on with Morelos up top. But albeit Liverpool have had a difficult start to the season, you've still got to remember they're a top side.
Aye, they're Liverpool.
Yep, they're a top side with top players.
It's funny you're saying about 300 million market value. They're great, and I'm just thinking probably between the four of them, it's probably about 700 grand a week in wages.
Yeah, I know.
When you think about it, it's a bit of 700
I'd be happy
grand
with that
a week
paycheck.
for them.
Yeah. In a lifetime, I'd like that. But there's no Sadio Mane, so what's the problem? Have they missed him? I mean, that is one of the questions people do ask.
In my eyes, he was Liverpool's best player.
Yeah. So I think, is that part of the malaise, if I can use that? You know, they're not firing in all cylinders.
I just think because of the success they've had under Klopp, I mean, they were relentless, Liverpool. They've had an off start, but again, I just keep looking back at the squad, and when you actually look at that starting 11, and then you float to the bench, they've got top players. And Rangers, listen, they're going to win for a tough night. They need a slice of luck, and hopefully they get that slice of luck.
Yeah, hopefully. I just think Morelos might not be the man that has the temperament to be up front. He's a great player, but I think they're going to bully him.
But Gary, he knows tonight, this is the game of his life potentially,
That's
isn't
when
it?
you need James Tavernier, Alan McGregor, Stephen Davis to say, listen, we need you.
Bring him back in.
We need you.
Exactly. But I just don't know. I think they're just going to go for him, and they're going to try and get him.
They're going to try and wind him off.
Where I think play anybody.
But he's got to rise above that.
Exactly, and that's where I think he lets himself down a lot, where he just reacts too much.
Can we ask you something? What about Ben Davies tonight? How big a night, a chance for him? So he went there, 18, 20 months ago, he went to Liverpool. He could have come to Glasgow, to Celtic. He would have been playing. He didn't play for Liverpool. What do you feel tonight? Have you got a confidence in Ben Davies?
He's got a lot to prove. I think it's a great opportunity for him to go out and make his name. I think, that's probably where I stand on it, because he can either be a hero or he'll be made a fool of.
Paul, it's hard to judge for myself as well. I hope he turns into a brilliant signing for Rangers, because he's cost a few quid.
4 million.
Yeah, £4 million. We've only seen him really that 45 minutes in Saturday. Listen, Liverpool don't sign bad players. They've signed him for Preston. He has got good qualities, but again, I think you can only judge players when they've played 10, 15, 20 games. And listen, it's a big night for him. He's going back to his former club. He never kicked a ball for Liverpool, which probably he'll want to go and prove a point to Klopp. So, look, I hope that he's going to be a good signing for Rangers.
Do you think Ryan Kent's in the same boat?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Of course, no, go on.
Yeah, Ryan Kent. Yeah, but and again, I'll go back to it. I think Ryan Kent's got everything. I do. I really think he's got everything. I just need to see him on a more consistent basis. Again, he's going back to his former club. Rangers bought him for £7 million, which is a hefty fee. So, listen, he's come up against Trent tonight, who's been, let's be honest, he's been getting absolute dog's abuse. And I think I felt for the boy. I think he's one of the best fullbacks.
Horrible.
Attacking fullbacks. Defensively, listen, there's question marks over him. So Ryan Kent might think, right, do you know what, I fancy my chances tonight.
Why not? Because they're piling in on him. Mark, what are you thinking? I'm thinking about the Liverpool connections there with Ben Davies. You're thinking about Ryan Kent as well. And John Lundstrom, who of course played at Everton, but he was a Liverpool fan as a boy.
Yeah, Lundstrom will love it tonight. You know, he'll thrive on it. Paul, I've been lucky enough to be down to Anfield for a few games in the past couple of years, and it's going to be special. The Rangers players are going to love it. That Champions League music, Liverpool, Rangers, the stadium is going to be totally alive. The Rangers fans will have one end, Liverpool fans will occupy the rest of the stadium. It's got the potential to be a special night. It's got the potential to be a sore night for Rangers as well if Liverpool click. But at the moment, I like the way Giovanni's setting up. I think it's sensible. I think it's the right thing to do. And it gives Rangers the best chance of staying in the game. And that's all they have to. They can't afford another Amsterdam. Amsterdam was embarrassing. They can't afford that tonight. And let's be honest, Liverpool's a better team than Ajax.
Sure.
So, I totally get where he's coming from. And if those 8 players with the defensive duties can do it, then there's a chance. But you mentioned Manny and Robertson were the best bit of the Liverpool team. They don't have that tonight. So we've got Shimikas at left back. He's decent, but if you're going to look at a weak link, you would say it was him. So I don't know if maybe that's where Tillman fits in. They've got something up their sleeve again in that part of the field.
We're going to take a break. Gary, what's your prediction? What do you reckon? You had some
I
good
always have
questions
hope
there.
in my heart, so I'm going to go with 4-3 Rangers.
4-3 Rangers? Wow, goal fest.
I have been drinking as well.
Yeah, I was about to say how many pints you had.
Too many.
We're back live. We're only, 20 minutes away from kick-off. Liverpool against Rangers.
Well done.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars. Let's go!
This is the Go Radio Football Show with our friends at Macklin Motors. We're live at the Radisson Red for Euro Nights in association with Steen. I think we're ready for the game now, aren't we? We've got the screens on here. BT Sport is on, and we're just looking there at there's Big Rio Ferdinand and of course Ali McCoist. 60 last weekend, hard to believe, isn't it? Super Ali. There he is, the all-time top scorer for Rangers, and next to him, an all-time top scorer as well, Michael Owen. Barry Ferguson, Paul Cooney and Mark Guidi. What are you thinking there? I just take
Coisty all day.
Coisty? Yeah. Would you go for him ahead of Michael Owen?
Oh, all day long.
No question, right?
All day long.
Another silly question. Right, we're ready. Don't worry, the sound will go on soon. We're going to hear the Champions League music. And we'll also have a podcast, of course, available after full time. Right, we kicked off at 6 o'clock with Graham. And Graham, we just want to ask you, you've heard the team now. What are you now thinking about this match tonight?
Apprehensive. No, because it's getting close to the kick-off. The nerves are starting to kind of kick in now. And obviously, you're hoping your team are going to turn it on tonight and give us a performance and all that, and it's the same every game. I don't know when it gets to this time, you're just hoping that it doesn't go pear-shaped through the game and we turn up as a team. I think a big factor of the game is going to be our defence. And like obviously Goldson's not the best of season so far, but I feel as if he's not another centre half next to him, and I think it's difficult for a true centre half to be playing against players that are no true centre halves next to him. You know, like last season he had kind of more prominent characters next to him.
Yeah, Balogun and Helander.
Balogun and Helander, exactly. I was surprised that we get rid of Balogun.
I think everyone.
I thought Balogun for me always turned up. He always put in a performance, never let Rangers down. But regardless of what position he was asked to play in, whether he went into right back or in the centre of defence.
Balogun, if he wasn't going to be Golson's partner, I think he's a brilliant backup. Balogun, big physical presence. Pace as well.
Exactly. That's exactly. Just as a centre half, he's got pace at the back, and there was times he had to fill in at right back for Rangers, and I thought he'd done a trick there. And he does a turn in the centre of the field.
So why was he in the stand at the PSV game? Do you know, that was a real pity that he'd gone from the club.
I've been surprised since the day we let him go. To be honest, I don't know why we let him go. I know we were obviously expecting another full-back or centre backs to come back in, but at that point in time, they weren't. I think we were relying on Stuart coming in. That's no work to it.
I think also as well, Goldson decided to stay. It's maybe been down, and at some point you've got to draw a line with budgets.
Yeah.
And at some point, whatever Balogun's wages is going to be, and you could counter that by saying, but they went out and spent £4 million in Davis and whatever Davis is earning. But I get with Balogun, but it's always with the benefit of hindsight, but he never let Rangers down.
Yeah, I'm thinking in terms of Haaland as well. He said his injury problems. Who, to be honest with you, maybe not the best football player, but he's a proper defender. Haaland,
he's a decent defender, Haaland, and he plays for his shirt. I think when you see him, he gives his all every single game. And again, being a left footer, he gives us that balance at the centre of the defence.
A good news for you though is that your keeper is in. It's now Alan McGregor once again, and that must give you confidence that he is there marshalling that whole defence.
Again, this has been said time and time again. McLaughlin's a good goalkeeper, but for me, and I don't mean to be hypercritical, he's not a Rangers number one. I think for me, McGregor's a Rangers number one. He's got the character, he's got the presence at the back. He's got the experience as well, and I think probably McGregor's probably been a better player. He's been 30 onwards. I think he's been a better keeper in the last 10 years than he was.
It was Steven Gerrard's best signing. Alan, and I think he inherited the decision to go and get Alan McGregor because he was on a free. But that said, you assess his contribution over that period. He was Steven Gerrard's best player. He's
been great since he was signed again, since he came back. And again, I was glad that he signed again for an extra year. And I was surprised that at the start of the season he wasn't in the team. It became clear at the start of the season that Van Bronckhorst was going to go for McLaughlin, and I think with McGregor obviously kind of backing him up, and I don't think that has worked out, to be honest. I think McGregor being for me is a better goalkeeper, and if you play your best players.
I think that's another indication of we were accusing Van Bronckhorst maybe being a wee bit stubborn in certain situations, but there he thought, no, he could have easily gone back and McGregor and said, no, I'm going to go, but he said, no, McGregor's the best. I might not have called it right. Although McLaughlin, I don't think it had any. The howl at Celtic Park, at that point the game's gone anyway. Maybe one of the goals that I actually could have done better, but over the piece he was fine. But he just doesn't make saves that win you games. I don't think he lets in bad goals, but he doesn't make match-winning saves.
Alan McGregor is worth 15 to 18 points a season. That's what top goalkeepers are worth. And listen, I'm with you, John McLaughlin. I think he's a brilliant backup. He's a very good goalkeeper, but he's not at the levels of Alan McGregor.
Again, I don't want to be critical of John McLaughlin because I think he's a good goalkeeper. I don't want to criticise my goalkeeper. I think he's a good goalkeeper.
But you're just being honest. It's just your opinion.
Again, when you look at the years that the Rangers number ones that we've had and the goals, your Gorhams, your Closes, your Sherbonis, things like that, they were all kind of big characters. McGregor's a character again, and no disrespect to McLaughlin, he's not the same type of player as them. That's just my opinion.
Who's your all-time favourite Rangers player?
All-time favourite Rangers player? Barry Ferguson. All-time favourite Rangers player is Gascoigne.
I thought you were serious.
Well, listen. Barry was a great player for Rangers. Loved Barry as a player all his days. He always swapped jerseys. He's a special player, and he came in as a young player and made a difference as a young player. Never came in as a passenger of the Rangers team. He took early Rangers midfield and played a prominent part in that period of Rangers history.
I think as well what was important about that stage when Barry came in was Dick Advocaat was signing a lot of players, a lot of foreigners, a lot of good talent. I think it was important to have a Scottish identity in the team, one that Rangers fans could look at, especially coming through the system, and Barry at an important time provided that.
Exactly. I think for Barry that must have been great for you at the time with a manager like Dick Advocaat coming in and giving you that backing.
Yeah, in terms of, I'd already played with Rangers under Walter, but obviously reasons why I never played, which was fine because they were under pressure to get 10 in a row, and I kind of understood that I wasn't experienced enough, but obviously I was frustrated. But as you get older you realise the reasons why you never played as much. But in terms of Dick coming in and making me and Gio, the current Rangers manager, the two main players in the centre of the park, listen, it gives you a lot of confidence. You just turn 19 and you're playing week in, week out. A lot of responsibility, but you know what? I love that. I love that responsibility.
Would you have stopped the 10 in a row? This could be an exclusive that Graham's getting, Barry, if they'd thrown you in a wee bit earlier.
That 9 in a row team were my heroes growing up. Listen, there's so many players in there that I looked up to, and you know what? I learnt so much off the guys. They had a real winning mentality. Watching them train every single day, they trained if it was their last ever training session, and that's something I took on board as a young player, and something when I became a regular Rangers player, I try to drive into like new players coming in, foreign players coming in, that this is Rangers, it's all about winning. A draw is no acceptable, a defeat is an absolute disaster.
And he hasn't changed in life He's the first to reverse out the car park.
He says
Honestly,
that about the callers now.
Yeah.
He says that about the callers, standards.
And Paul Gascoigne then, that you did mention. What a player. So,
Paul Gascoigne was different class.
Wasn't he?
Brilliant.
I mean, he just lit up the place.
I was lucky enough as a young kid getting in full time at 15 to watch that guy every single day. He was an absolute genius. Absolute
Give
genius.
us all your insights. One of the things you remember.
Well, listen, not much I can say on air, what he actually done. But just the things he done with a football, you were just in awe. But no, what stood out for me, what type of person he was. He was a brilliant guy, and for what he'd done in the game, he always had time for young players. He would always come in a Tuesday. Our games for the youth team were normally a Monday night. And seeing a Tuesday, he would always come into the dressing room. How did you go on last night? Who played well? Who scored? And I thought, that's Paul Gascoigne that's coming in and asking. I mean, that just showed you what type of guy.
Inspiration at that time.
Yeah, but he was what a player he was. Unbelievable player.
Just class. I don't think he ever had a bad game for Rangers. I don't think he had a bad game ever.
I interviewed him on the day, it was Pataudry. Did he score a hat-trick? But he disappeared with Chris Evans. Do you remember a few days before? And his wife had just had a baby, and he disappeared and he came back and he played. He was man of the match, and at the end, and the PR people said, he'll do the interview with you, live in Scotsport, with Macklin Motors. No, you can't mention the baby. And his wife, I thought, right, okay. So we did the interview, and at the end I said, and that got the goals. Was that for your wife and for the baby? And he went, absolutely, and he spoke about them then, and he said afterwards, thanks very much. It was the right way to do it. I couldn't not, as a journalist, not mention it. And he was just I could see him with kids around the place and all that. He was brilliant. He had time for everybody, didn't he? And he was an absolute superstar. Mark, final point, because we're going to go back to the game, but from the media point of view, he was special.
He won the Football Writers Player of the Year a couple of times, and one of the nights his speech was pretty special. let's put it that way. He turned up and had a right good day out before he had that. You don't like it as Barry, having to sit at that top table. It's no easy. But no, he was great. He lit up Scottish football. Rangers, I think it was at the 8 in a row game. Aberdeen at Ibrox was probably his most memorable game for Rangers. But for Paul Gascoigne, the thing that always sticks out for me about Paul Gascoigne is the warmth that he showed about Walter Smith and how he took to Walter as a person. And I think Paul Gascoigne, with the greatest respect, Paul Gascoigne signed for Walter Smith first and foremost.
Yeah,
that's impressed when you read into the background to it. And that was a great thing about the way Walter managed him as a person as well.
I actually seen a thing quite recently, and it was how Walter Smith got Gascoigne to sign, and he went.
I've been over to Italy. I watched it.
And he turned up.
The team's
in,
he was amazing.
And Gascoigne's turned up on a quad bike. He says, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I want you to come and play for Rangers." He's like, "All right, go on," and then fired away with him on this quad bike.
That's right.
I thought that was brilliant, and again, that's probably what you just said about the relationship.
Graham, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us. We'll speak to you again later in the podcast. Sir Alex Ferguson is in the house. The teams are coming into the tunnel. Barry, who are the players that will, the manager will have done a bit of a talk. Who are you looking to just to calm people down before they come out here for the match at Anfield?
Obviously you've got to look at the captain, James Tavernier, but the most experienced two in the Rangers team is Alan McGregor and Stephen Davis, who have played in big moments in their career. But listen, that's what Rangers is all about, playing in the big league again, the Champions League. And listen, they'll need to bring their A game to get anything from Liverpool, because don't be kidded on with Liverpool start to the season, Paul. They're still a high quality team.
Look at those players going past there. There's Klopp, just speaking to some of them. There's Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, phenomenal. Mark, your final thought then tonight. If Rangers could get a draw, did you say earlier, would be?
Paul, if Rangers can get a draw, it'd be a phenomenal result. It's a first point on the board. It might just springboard them into the last 3 games. I think it's going to be really tough. I have to be honest, I fancy a Liverpool victory. No disgrace in that for Rangers, but the most important thing is I like the way Giovanni's set up. I totally get why he's set up that way. He can't afford a sole one tonight. He can't afford a repeat of Amsterdam, and I don't think there will be, because Rangers are in a better place and they've learned their lessons from the past.
Barry, you're getting settled to watch it. We're going to watch it together with our friends here. We'll be back with the podcast. Barry, your final thought as they lift the ball there, the referee, and they come out. Final thought from you.
Listen, it's going to be a tough one, Paul. There's no doubt, as I said to you, Liverpool are a high quality team, and every single Rangers player that's on that pitch will need to bring their A game, and if they do, you never know. Listen, I would take a draw. I would snap your hand off for a draw just now.
Good luck to Rangers tonight. The Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors back tomorrow at 4, the build-up to RB Leipzig against Celtic. And we will be live here at the Radisson Red for the Euro Nights in association with Steam. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Mark. And thanks to everyone here at the Radisson Red. Good luck, Rangers.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars.
Let's go! There's a new name for Toyota in Lanarkshire.
From one of the UK's biggest names in motor retail.
Macklin Motors Toyota opens this October in Hamilton.
We're bringing you everything Toyota backed by first-class service.
So come and view the stunning new Toyota range, all with up to 10 years warranty.
Including the Igo Cross and the new Yaris Cross compact SUV.
See our great choice of approved used Toyotas.
Our formidable range of commercial vehicles, including the Hilux.
Get expert servicing from our manufacturer-trained technicians.
And specialist advice from our Motability team.
Macklin Motors Toyota opens Monday, October the 17th.
At Whistlebury Road, Hamilton.
As one of Scotland's leading mechanical and electrical contractors, Steen delivers a wide range of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, heating and renewable solutions for your home or business. Our specialist team provides our clients with the highest quality service and installations, giving them peace of mind and confidence to return in the future. So, for all your mechanical and electrical projects, regardless of size or complexity, make Steen your partner of choice. For more information, visit steenelectricalsolutions.co.uk.
Euro Nights from the Go Radio Football Show with Steen, one of Scotland's leading mechanical and electrical contractors.
Here we are, the whistle has gone. This is the Go Radio Football Show, live at the Radisson Red for Euro Nights in association with Steen on our special podcast. So at full time at Anfield, Liverpool 2, Rangers 0. Your reaction, Rangers legend Barry Ferguson?
Well, obviously the result's disappointing, but in terms of the last European away performance in Amsterdam, I thought it was night and day. At least the team competed, but there was one outstanding performer, Paul, and that was Alan McGregor in goals. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. It just showed you, even at 40 years of age, for me, he's still one of the best goalkeepers about.
6, 7, 8 great saves from...
Yeah, top saves, no doubt about it. I don't think MD will disagree with me. And as I said before, having a top goalkeeper in the goals is so big. He makes so big an impact. He breeds confidence throughout the full team, and as you says, rightly so, there was 6 or 7 top class saves, and if it wasn't for Alan McGregor it could have been more. But in terms of Rangers' performance, at least they showed a bit of spirit and a bit of fight. That's what the Rangers fans expect, albeit it was a disappointing result.
And you took from that Rangers gave everything tonight?
Yeah, you can't deny that the players that are on the pitch didn't give 100%. That should be a given anyway. So the main thing for me was watching the game that Liverpool dominated possession, no doubt in my mind about that, because they're a top team with top players, but at least Rangers made a game of it. Liverpool did create, I think it was 24, 25 opportunities. But again, the guy in goals for Rangers, Alan McGregor, was the star performer.
Mark, the record books will show the 2 goals came for Liverpool 7 minutes into each half. Wonder free kick from Trent Alexander-Arnold, and then a penalty kick from Mo Salah. They are a class team. We could see that tonight with some special players.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're always favourites to win the game, Paul, and that's what they dominated it. The positives for Rangers are that it wasn't a sore one tonight. I mean, it could have been. I think McGregor said what I would say 4 outstanding saves and 4 saves that you would expect him to make, and he had the outstanding saves at crucial times. He denied Darwin Núñez on 2 or 3 occasions, a couple of times in the first half at 1-0. You look at analyse the goals, 2 dead balls, if you want to call them that, Paul. So it's not like Rangers have been split open. As Barry said right at the top, you analyse the performance, it was night and day compared to Amsterdam. Rangers were run ragged in Amsterdam tonight. They acquitted themselves well, and right at the end with 5 minutes to go, Matondo and Kolach are forced saves from Alisson, so we could have had an interesting final 7 or 8 minutes. But Van Bronckhorst, as much as his goalkeeper saved him, he got it right tonight. He just shored up the back. I know Leon King's giving away the penalty kick. It was a penalty, but the youngster performed really, really well, and credit to him for that. Ben Davies was solid. I thought Fashion Sakala livened it up for Rangers in the final third when he came on. But it's a defeat, but it's an improvement, and I think that kind of thing gives Rangers hope and shows again that the manager, as much as it's not a win and it's not a draw, but he knows when to change it. He changed it tonight, and on the whole it kind of worked.
Barry, the positives, what will the manager be taking from this when he thinks about it, when he watches it back, and when he comes back up the road?
Well, they were solid and compact. Liverpool had to work the ball across the pitch a number of times to try and open Rangers up, and I thought he got it spot on. Listen, you've got to respect the opponent you're up against, and you're up against a team, as we mentioned previous. They've been in 3 champion finals in the last 5 years. They're a top quality team, albeit they've not had a great start to their domestic season. They had a bad defeat against Napoli. They come back against Ajax. So I think Gilles went down to make sure that it wasn't a doing like they got in Amsterdam, and that's the positive you've got. At least the players competed tonight. You can't say that any of the Rangers players on that pitch didn't give the manager and the club everything that they've got, and there was some good performances. Mark mentioned, I thought young Leon King, for the age, 18, he gave away the penalty. Brilliant. Listen, he'll learn from that, I've no doubt. He done brilliant. I thought Conor Galton was good. Ben Davies, again, important, getting another 75-80 minutes, and obviously Alan McGregor was the star performer. But at least they'll come away with positives. In the last 5 or 10 minutes, they started to open Liverpool. I don't know whether that's Liverpool taking their foot off the gas or no, but listen, at least they made the goalkeeper work the last 5-10 minutes with Matondo and Sholak. So that's the positives you can take into going into next week.
Yep, we're here at the Radisson Red with our friends at Steen, as we mentioned right at the top. And listen, Rangers losing 2-0 tonight, but when you hear about Ajax, they went 1-up against Napoli and then they collapsed 6-1 to Napoli at the top of this mark.
That keeps Rangers a shout at third place, Paul. Yep. An important game. Well, they're all important 3 games to go, but Rangers need to beat Ajax at Ibrox, obviously. So Napoli have pretty much qualified now. Liverpool are just 3 points away from doing it. That's why they'll still come to Ibrox next week, Paul, with their foot in the gas. They'll not be taking any chances. They'll want to get the 9 points as quickly as possible. But Rangers can take a bit of heart with 45 to 50,000 home supporters with them. Next week they'll be a wee bit more in the front foot, put Liverpool under a wee bit more pressure, but then they need to be careful and not susceptible to the counter-attack, because we looked at that front 4 tonight and we spoke about them often before it. I know you're not wanting to see it when you're playing against Scottish opposition, but they were a pleasure to watch when you see them, their movement, the skill, the quick feet. And for Rangers not to concede a goal in open play is quite a compliment to what Rangers gave tonight too.
Well, Graham, one of the Rangers fans here tonight, was with us earlier. Graham, Liverpool, you could see such a class side. How do you feel about your own team, Rangers, tonight?
I think with the way the game panned out, I think for Rangers only to lose 2 goals for 2 set pieces, which I feel could have been avoided in both cases, can I say, speaks volumes for the way the game went. I thought Rangers acquitted themselves well through the game. I thought we could have been a wee bit more positive at times. I think it's one of the games where we're playing against a class opposition, and now the word class is the fact is Liverpool, I don't feel, played a great game of football tonight, but their class shone through with the players that they've got on the pitch. And I thought that just that difference in class between an experience in European and Champions League football over the last few years shone through. Thought Rangers, we kind of struggled at the time to obviously contain Liverpool, but like I say, for the fact that they only scored 2 goals for 2 set pieces, no goals for, I know Alan McGregor had 8-9 saves that shots on target. Like you said before, Mark, it was probably 4 or 5 world class saves, which and other saves that we expected to make. I thought Rangers into about 60 minutes could have probably made changes about 60 minutes more, so I thought the changes maybe came a wee bit late in the day to be playing a wee bit more positive and a wee bit more direct.
Let's put that straight to Barry. Could he have made the changes earlier?
Yeah, it's 6 1/2 dozen. It's one of the ones if you go too early with the quality that they've got. I get his point. Probably people are looking at that and saying maybe throw Sholak and Matonda on a bit earlier, but you've got to remember you go 2-0 down once Salah scores the penalty. There's still good 30 or so minutes to go, so Gio's probably looking, listen, if we keep it at 2-0, maybe 15-20 minutes to go, then I can maybe open up and try and get the goal, and then maybe put them under a wee bit of pressure. I think that was his thinking behind the substitutions at the time he made them. But look, overall, I look back, I'll go back to me and Mark spoke about it just before we come on here. I look at that performance tonight and I look at the performance in Amsterdam, and it is 100% night and day.
Yeah.
It was like men against boys in Amsterdam. Tonight, at least they stood firm. They worked hard as a unit. They tried to stop Liverpool being dominant. Look, they dominated possession. They never really, I wouldn't say they cut them open too many times. I know Alan McGregor made some brilliant saves, but it was two set pieces. It was a foul that I think Ben Davies can just stand up, let the centre forward have the ball, force him back the way. You don't need. I think it was a bit too harsh there in the tackle. The free kick is special. Alan McGregor, I mean, you could have two goalkeepers in and he wouldn't have saved that. And then obviously young Leon King with a bit of inexperience, Paul. He dives in when maybe he shouldn't dive in, and obviously Salah puts the penalty away. So overall, that's the positives you can take out of it. You come away with 2-0. Look, you never like losing a game of football, but that had potential to be 4-5-6.
Yeah.
So that's the positives I take out.
And it felt as though that was what was going to happen. A succession of great saves by Alan McGregor. And you thought, wow, it's 2-0. And it felt as though it was going to be more. Thanks, Graham, for your points there. Rab is with us. Rab, what are you feeling at the end of that 94 minutes?
2-0 away at Anfield. It's I'll take it. I think we did all right. We were in the game. But class shone through. For me, Barisic, I don't know what it is with him this year. He's just sitting off. As soon as a player gets the ball, it's as if he's just backing off. And I get the first point of defending is, right, make them think of what they're doing, but he backs off, and you're going to need to go and challenge him, because if he's got the option to come in, and you're playing against one of the best players in the world, he's going to come in at his left foot and ping it to a corner or create something, and unfortunately you could see that happening. But to lose by a penalty and a free kick.
Yeah. Mark, is there that lack of confidence that we've seen since February in Barisic? He's been better recently, but can you see that lack of confidence that Rab mentions? Doesn't know when to come, when to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think defensively it's not always been his strong point. He is better going forward. Again, as well, if you try and put yourself in Barisic's boots, he's up against a level above of what he's used to week in, week out, and he's, what do I do if I go and try and step for, he'll just knock it by me. So I think you've got to make allowances for the level of opposition. I think if you look at it collectively, you compare the two away performances in Europe in the Champions League. Rangers were ripped apart, and it looked as though Ajax could have scored 10 goals in Amsterdam 3 weeks ago. Look at it now. So you can see there's kind of been a corner turn. 3 or 4 weeks ago after Amsterdam, there'll be a lot of Rangers fans that were sitting with us, and I'm sure at home and in Holland probably wanted the manager going. Now they see a difference. Giovanni's learned. He went 5 at the back. The players listened to what he wanted, and he's obviously had to thank his goalkeeper for making sure it wasn't a spanking tonight. But that's what your goalkeeper's there for. That's why Alisson made 2 brilliant saves in the last couple of minutes, to stop it being a nervy last 5 minutes for Liverpool. So that's what they're there for. So there's an improvement, and now the next stage for Liverpool, for Rangers, as they were at home against Napoli, is try to take it onto the front foot now and make the opposition defend a wee bit more, and that's a challenge for Rangers next Wednesday night.
Yeah, we were talking. The last guy was on, he was saying about should the substitutions be made early. Now I think Gio might go with the same formation next week at Ibrox. I know we're at home, but then make it a bit earlier. Try and keep yourself in the game, nothing each, even if you concede 1 goal, and then maybe throw on Šolak with Morelos or Morelos with Šolak, or make a few substitutions. But look, albeit you hate seeing your team getting beat, but you've got to be positive. They've been down to a top quality Premier League team, with top quality players, and they've come away with a 2-0 defeat, which is no nice. That's 3 defeats now in the Champions League. But now you've got Liverpool at home. You can maybe cause them some problems because they've done that the last 5 or 10 minutes. You can defend the way they did at times tonight. I thought, as collectively as a unit, they fought tooth and nail for each other, and that's all you can ask of your team.
Sakala made a difference, didn't he? But was it because it was so late in the game? Liverpool got the games tied up?
Sometimes a bit of tiredness and you bring on a bit of pace, which Sakala's got. Matonda's got that as well, and certainly the substitutions did make an impact. Sholak with the chance with Alisson making a great save. I think Sholak's just connected with the ball too well. It might sound stupid, but it's better if you sclaff that, and sometimes they go in. So don't be surprised if Gio goes with the kind of same game plan next week, to try and frustrate it, stay in the game as long as possible, and then maybe make the substitutions a bit earlier.
Rab, how are you feeling about next week then? Wednesday night, Ibrox, 50,000.
We'll get past St Mirren, get a wee confidence boost, go for the 3 or 4 now, and then we'll take it as it comes. I think with the crowd behind us, you never know what can happen. We break a ball, we red card, you never know. But I'd just like to ask Barry something. See
quick one.
Have you ever thought of maybe switching Kent to the right hand side and playing Matondo on the left?
Barry,
what do you think of that?
It's a good call. Matondo obviously come on and played on the left tonight, and I thought he looked dangerous. He got in behind a couple of times. He obviously had the chance. That's a good shout. Look, I think Ryan Kent enjoys playing in left with cutting in, but we'd say we don't see that enough for Ryan Kent, cutting in and having a pop at goal. But look, that's something that Gio may look to use in the future.
Great. Mark, would you buy that? Maybe doing that switch?
Yeah, listen, if it's something that mixes up a wee bit, Paul. That's what he's got to come up with a plan, not only for how you start the game, but how you might think you've got to finish the game to get something. If you look at Rangers' first 3 games, Amsterdam, Napoli at home, Liverpool tonight, they're all fighting for points. On paper, your last 3 games should be a wee bit easier, because you're going to Naples, but they'll have qualified. You go to Liverpool, you've got them at home, and you've got Ajax at home. So there's a wee chance to go and do. So I think the biggest thing is trying not to finish bottom, beat Ajax to 3rd spot, which would be a great achievement. Let's be honest, it would be a great achievement to do that. So look, again, I think Giovanni's mindset for the start of next Wednesday night, as Barry said, will be: don't lose the game, don't get spanked, don't be Ajax tonight losing 6-1 at home to Napoli, so the manager can't. So stay in the game, try and keep them at bay, and if you can nick something at the other end, all the better. The Rangers fans behind them, they might do it.
See if you go gung-ho against top quality teams, you leave yourself wide open to be countered, and Liverpool are good enough with the players. You've seen the front 4 at times tonight. They were a joy to watch. You look at Thiago in the middle of the pitch. We need
Rolls Royce.
You love him, don't you?
Yeah, he's pipe and slippers on tonight. He's a fantastic footballer. So I think that will be the way that he'll be thinking for next week. Listen, take care of what's going on at the weekend against St Mirren, but I think that will be the similar game plan tonight for next week.
Rab called it right there. Thanks, Rab. We're here in the Radisson Red in Glasgow with Steen, our special podcast. Rangers have lost 2-0 tonight at Anfield. That's no disgrace. They sustained a lot of pressure. Alan McGregor is the story of the night with 4 world-class saves. I'm looking at Mark Guidi, I'm looking at Barry Ferguson, and I think you agree. And well done, Rab. That's 94 minutes of football and some good points you're making.
Paul, I expect Alan McGregor to.
You're not surprised?
No, I'm not surprised, because he's a top quality goalkeeper, and you've seen he kept Rangers in the game at times, no doubt, but that's what I expect for Alan McGregor.
So why did Gio drop him at the start of the season?
Well,
question we need to ask him.
You asked us before the start of the season what would be Rangers starting 11 at Livingston, but the big call was who was going to be the goalkeeper, and me and Mark agreed. I think every Rangers fan agreed that it would be Alan McGregor, but Gio went with John McLaughlin. But I think you've seen since Alan McGregor's come in, you see what he brings to the Rangers team.
That's gone now, Paul.
Of course, exactly.
It's about what happens on Saturday and into Wednesday, but what the manager has clearly learned that he clearly was in some doubt about this. Is Alan McGregor's his number one. And Alan McGregor saved his manager tonight from perhaps having a different conversation and hearing the Rangers fans is the manager the right guy for the job again. So Alan McGregor saved his manager from that, but the manager has learned. Went 5 at the back, played the right goalkeeper, made a couple of good substitutions, and collectively Rangers were a unit tonight. They knew what they were doing tonight, whereas in Amsterdam 3 weeks ago they were all over the shop, could have lost 10 goals.
Thiago's a Rolls Royce. Here's the RR. Robert from Renfrew back with us. You stayed the coast really well.
We did the rehearsal.
You're cruising. What are you feeling? You're smiling at the moment. What do you think?
Optimistic. I think Liverpool, brilliant team. Great players. Rangers did ourselves proud, and we'll go next week that's all we can do. I think you get players like Thiago, Nunez.
Sure.
You look at the chance at the end, and there's a great block, and 2-1. It's a different scoreline, it's a different perspective, and just unlucky at the end of the day.
Look at the top crowd we've got here. There's Fraser's bags in here. I mean, they're absolutely... Does he know that Mike Ashley owns that? But, cheers, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. Thanks. Cheers, Scott.
See you later,
Back
Scott.
to Saltcoats, my favourite place. I'll be there at the weekend. Well, one of the favourites. Well done, guys. They've stayed all night. It's 10 past, 10:15. Robert, back to you. Who stood out for you then? The Rangers players?
To be fair, I've had a few Minetti, so I can't.
Okay,
really
that's all right. You know, you're sounding good. I've got no excuse. We've just had a cup of coffee.
Apart from the goalie, or even young Leon King must have impressed you tonight. Young Leon King.
He was superb.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how old he is, 18, 19, but to come in a game against Liverpool and to stand his ground and to be a man, he's done brilliant. And all you can ask is to do your best, and I think he's done his best. And I'm not going to criticise Rangers, because next week we'll be back here and we'll be supporting Rangers, and all we can ask is to do their best, and they've done that.
Mark wants to...
No, I was just going to ask Barry, you're talking about as a 19-year-old Dick giving you that responsibility. You played Champions League games at the highest level as a teenager, the same as Leon King. What will the boy have learned from that tonight, and how much will that benefit him?
Massively. The confidence that he'll take out of playing against a front four of that value we spoke about before the game. I mean, 250, 300 million quid's worth of talent. And listen, see with the penalty, I just think it's a bit of eagerness, desperate
bit
to
rash.
Desperate to win that ball, when maybe sometimes
Ben Davies.
No, Leon King.
On the penalty, sorry.
We're talking about Leon King. Paul, were you alright? It's past your bedtime.
Indeed, no, it's Tommy's just gone. I was making sure he'd left the building.
He'll learn for that. It looks to me, if he's a young boy that wants to take information and to play at a place like Anfield against a top quality team, I thought he was outstanding. Made the mistake at the penalty, but you know what? He'll learn for that. I've got no doubt in my mind.
And it looks to me the type looks like a young, proper centre-half. You know, the type that's going to love and relish the different challenges and
obstacles. Do you know what I like about him?
Way.
He can play the game, he can pass the ball. He loves the physical side of it, which I love. I think that's been took out a lot of defenders nowadays. Oh, can he play football? Can he pass the ball? Can he control the ball? First and foremost, can he defend? And the young man can defend.
Absolutely, he's up for a scrap if need be. He's up for. I think that is one of the criticisms you get from academy players. They're too soft. That boy's not soft.
And his positional sense as well is excellent. He senses danger before the danger appears.
How did Morelos do for you? We didn't see too much of him. It was always going to be tough tonight, wasn't it, for a lone striker? Barry, Morelos?
Yeah, it was a tough one, the way that Rangers set up with a 5-4-1 formation. It was a tough shift for him, no doubt. But listen, one thing, at least he put himself about. At times he could have handled the ball a bit better. As I said, I think it was important. We had a spell, Rangers had a spell 10 minutes just before half time where they actually kept the ball for like a minute or two. And you need to do that when you go to places like Anfield, and when the ball goes up front it needs to stick. But again, that comes down to he's not played enough. Still a bit of rustiness, but getting the 75-80 minutes tonight will do him the world of good.
And Mark Ben Davies, what did you feel overall? That rash tackle?
Yeah, I mean, the first right, you know, the first one, the free kick, but overall I thought he made a couple of good interceptions, a couple of good clearances, and again he will benefit from that. Paul, you know, he'll not get tougher than that tonight. He's been in beside Conor Galton. He's played as part of a back three, so you know that tactically he's adaptable, because he can play just with the two, and he's played with the three tonight. Didn't let himself down, and you know, there's a lot of good things to take from it. Obviously, ultimately they've lost the game. There's no points, but you're not really expecting it to end tonight. You've got to look behind the result, and I think the manager will come away, and the players will be travelling back up the road tonight feeling really positive, actually feeling positive about what they can do obviously at the weekend, and taking it. And they've got particularly the forced Alisson into two right good saves at the end, which they made it 2-1 on the front foot a wee bit more with the crowd behind them on Wednesday night, and pose a couple of different questions for Liverpool, as long as they stay switched on at the back, which I'm sure they will. And I would definitely go a back five again next week.
And before you go, Robert, when you hear the Napoli score 6-1, you must take something from that, given that Rangers played so well against Napoli.
That's some result, isn't it?
Yeah. So you look forward to that?
Aye.
With Ajax?
Well,
a chance for Rangers?
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can take something from it. Hopefully.
Robert, thanks very much. Well done joining us tonight. Barry, what are you thinking in Napoli then? So they're going to top it, aren't they?
In terms of that's me seeing everybody live, and look, I'm like Paul, I watch all the games. Napoli are the best team in the group for me. Look, I know Liverpool are a phenomenal football team, but who I've been impressed by the most is Napoli.
How far could they go, do you think?
They could go far, Paul. You just need to, I thought they were excellent at Ibrox, but again, I thought Rangers were excellent for the 60 minutes until Sands get the sending off. But it just shows you the quality in the Champions League. A team like Napoli going to a place like Ajax, the Amsterdam Arena. You know how strong Ajax are there. We watched them against Rangers 3 weeks ago, and they were a very, very good team. So it just shows you the quality that Napoli are.
That's Barry Ferguson, Paul Cooney, Mark Guidi here at the Radisson Red. It's our special Euro night with Steen, and thanks to everyone who's joined us. 5 minutes or so to go just to summarise it. Gary, well done, you're still with us.
I'm still standing, that's the main
thing. And you're still smiling.
Barely.
Okay. What did you think tonight?
It was a good result. I think it was the best we could hope for from the formation we went out with. I personally would have liked to see more attacking.
Mm-hmm. You think Rangers should have gone?
Yeah, I think we should have went more. I think one of the earlier talkers said we should have went two at the front. We should have. What we're going to lose.
I'll be honest with you. If Rangers did go their usual 4-3-3 formation, I thought it would have been played into Liverpool's hands.
Aye. Yes.
You've got to be respectful of what you're up against. Look, I get it. I want to see Rangers be more attack minded, but you've got to remember who you're up against. And I thought,
do you not think even if we went out there and literally on the first second pressed them, we would have got something out of it?
I think you're playing into Liverpool's hands. They've got too many intelligent players, too many good players, and they could play through you.
I think I get where you're coming from, Gary, and you're speaking as a passionate Rangers supporter who's disappointed, and I get that. But put yourself in Giovanni's shoes. You got he has to come up with something. Where first and foremost, the level of opposition. You're away from home. You have no points. You've had a couple of spankings. First and foremost, right, let's be tight. Let's not concede it. Let's not turn this into an Amsterdam, which you couldn't afford. So I get it. You want to be a wee bit more adventurous, but if you put yourself in the manager's shoes, what he did tonight, that's exactly what he had to do.
Do you see him? So say the next result, so say Saturday, doesn't go our way, how long do you give him?
Well, I think Saturday will go, and I'm a big supporter of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst,
so
and I have to be honest, that this conversation has been going around now on and off for probably 6 or 7 months, which I'm flabbergasted at. I mean, I really am. You're talking about a guy, who's got Rangers to a European final, won a Scottish Cup, and got them into the Champions League, and turned players into £20 million players. So I don't think it's a worthy conversation. I'm also mindful, and maybe you guys some Rangers fans don't want to admit it, but I'm also mindful of the fact that it's a right good Celtic team, and you just got to hang on in there, as Rangers are doing just now. Still 3 Old Firm games to come. So for me, any talk of Giovanni's position being under threat is absolutely wrong and wide of the mark, and I think it's totally disrespectful. He's a Rangers manager. He manages your team, and he's been very, very good for the past 10 months. Support him. Get behind him and support him.
And Gary is pro, the manager.
I totally back him, but I do understand sometimes some of the decisions he has made haven't actually been very pro football. Probably when you look at it from a fan point of view, it's sort of, I'm trying to find the right words now. It's not the Rangers way.
Not the Rangers
probably
way.
If I go back to
the system, people do say that. They're not sure.
It's not a Rangers way of how we will play. So maybe it's we need to change as a fan base. But trying to get into that mindset is quite hard. And he needs to be a bit more open, where sometimes he just isn't that more open. And that would be.
There's 11 games left until the
World Cup split. Yeah.
There's 7 league games, 3 Champions League games, and a League Cup semi-final. I think all the focus is win the 7 league games, make sure you get into the semi-final, and any kind of result in the Champions League for me is a bonus.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Gary, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, gents.
Cheers, Gary. So, final thoughts here from the Radisson Red with Steen. It's been quite a night. The big build-up to the game with Liverpool will be here again tomorrow night. It's earlier. It's RB Leipzig against Celtic. We'll be on here from 4 till 6, and then the podcast afterwards. Mark, summation. It's the Alan McGregor show tonight, though, wasn't it? Yeah, Liverpool take the 3 points. Yeah. But Alan McGregor, that will live long in the memory.
Yeah, 4 world-class saves. But overall, Paul, all things considered, I think there's a lot for Rangers to be pleased about tonight, and a lot for the manager to be satisfied about, and there's a lot to move on into the final 3 games.
Barry, you never enjoy a Rangers defeat?
No, I don't. Yep. I don't. I'll be honest with you. But I sat here before the game, confident with the performance at Tynecastle, but also wary of what you're coming up against. You're coming up against a top level team, and it is in the back of your mind. You could come away. I mean, I've seen very good Premier League teams come away with an absolute thump at Anfield, and that was my worry tonight. Once the free kick went in after 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you think to yourself, oh, here we go. But fair play, they stuck together, they worked hard, and to come away for Anfield with a 2-0 defeat, you've got to try and be positive, and that's what I'm sure that Gio and the boys were. There were some good performances, as I said. I thought Ben Davies was good, young Leon King, apart from giving away the penalty, Conor Galton. And Alan McGregor was absolutely outstanding. And the back 5 or back 6 or back 8, whatever, you're including the 2 central midfielders, they had to do some shift tonight to make sure that they come away with at least something, or a defeat that was going to only be 1 or 2 goals.
Remember when you played football, it was 90 minutes, wasn't it? Or 120 minutes. You've been with us since 5 o'clock this evening, Barry. It's been fantastic to spend this with you. Do you think Darwin Núñez will be having nightmares tonight thinking about how did I not score up against that guy Alan McGregor?
Yeah, that 40-year-old.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, phenomenal. I'll go back to it, and I'm not surprised they made the saves, Paul. Paul, that's what I expect for Alan McGregor, and that's why I was really surprised. But again, Gio made a decision at the start of the season, but I think now Gio knows it wasn't the right decision, and I think the right man's behind in between the sticks. And you can see that with the last 3 or 4 performances.
Liverpool will be in town here at Ibrox next week. We'll be here as well with Steen at the Radisson Red. Thanks, Chris, James, and everyone who's joined us and stayed with us right to the end at nearly 10:30.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks very much. Thanks, Barry.
Cheers, Paul.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the podcast. Cheers, and we'll be back soon. Good night.
Euro Nights from the Go Radio Football Show with Steen, one of Scotland's leading mechanical and electrical contractors.
As one of Scotland's leading mechanical and electrical contractors, Steen delivers a wide range of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, heating and renewable solutions for your home or business. Our specialist team provides our clients with the highest quality service and installations, giving them peace of mind and confidence to return in the future. So, for all your mechanical and electrical projects, regardless of size or complexity, make Steen your partner of choice. For more information, visit steenelectricalsolutions.co.uk.